sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime. Our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news from ESPN's Adam Schefter. The Bears signing top overall pick quarterback Caleb Williams to his rookie contract. 4 years, $39 million guaranteed. Earlier today, Chicago signed its other first-round pick, receiver Rome Odunze, to his rookie deal. Receiver Brandon Ayuk has officially requested a trade from the 49ers amid his contract dispute. Teams that have reached out to the Niners have been told they have no intention of trading him. Little extra buzz around tonight's MLB All-Star Game, and it's because of Paul Skeens, the 22-year-old Pirates megastar pitcher who has been brilliant in his first 11 big league starts, getting the start for the NL. Skeens must see tonight, explains ESPN MLB analyst Tim Kirkjian.
He's 6'6", 250, has elite control, a great breaking ball, and throws 102 miles an hour. Plus, he's a born leader. We're going to be talking someday that this was the All-Star Game in which everybody got to see Paul Skeens, because he might run this show for the next 10 years.
Tim Kirkjian on Unsportsmanlike, All-Star Game coverage, 7 Eastern, ESPN Radio.
Hey, it's Courtney Cronin. Coming up Wednesday, new Alabama head football coach Kalen DeBoer joins us at 8 a.m. Eastern to discuss replacing Nick Saban and getting ready for the season. It's on Sportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Live Day 2 Radio Row SEC Football Media Days. Our coverage all week presented by Parrish Construction and Roofing. Visit parrishbuilt.com. Also presented by Rev Business and Relief Windows. What a day it was. The Georgia Bulldogs, Tennessee Volunteers, the Oklahoma Sooners, Missouri Tigers all taking their turn here Day 2. Dari Nowa, Greg Sankey, Gary Stoken, All-American Malachi Starks, linebacker Keenan Pili from Tennessee, all part of today's show. But let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
Day 2 got opened up with Georgia. I almost slipped up and said defending champion Georgia just because I'm accustomed to saying defending champion Georgia because they win all the time. But obviously Georgia is a team that was the best team in college football for the entire season last year until they ran across Alabama in the SEC championship game, got beat, and we know what transpired. The very self-important people in a hotel ballroom in suburban Dallas decided that Georgia would not play for a championship, even though they were the best team all throughout the year, as they also decided that an undefeated Florida State team wasn't worthy just because, and did what they did. So Georgia comes back now with, you would presume, maybe something to prove, but Kirby, when he met with his opening statement today, said that's not exactly the case.
We're dealing with new challenges this year. We don't have a chip on our shoulder in terms of people trying to use that as motivation. I've never used a failure from the previous year as motivation, and I've never used the success of a previous year as motivation. We won't do that this year. That's not who we are. We want to recreate ourselves, to say, in the best light we can. And this team has been fun to coach. I tell people all the time, we had 15 really tough spring practices, and that includes the spring game. I probably would only trade one of those in and say, could I do it over? We got a lot out of those.
One of the biggest challenges is when you achieve success is maintaining that level. It's one of the reasons why what Nick Saban did for so long in Alabama is remarkable, is that you didn't have the lulls. I mean, think in context of LSU. This is a conversation you and I can have that makes sense. LSU, since 2003, the only program that's won more national championships than LSU is Alabama. They've had immense success. 3 titles, played for 4th, you know that. But LSU also has not been able to avoid the lulls. A 5-loss 2008 under Lesmar. 8-4 won the bowl game. 2008. When you look at the Ogeron seasons in 2020 and 2021, where you went 5-5 and then 6-7, that's been the part that you haven't been able to avoid, are those dips and those lulls. Maintaining that elite level consistency is very hard, and that's what Kirby has been able to do at Georgia amazingly. Think about Dabo Swinney at Clemson, where it looked like Clemson was the team that was challenging the throne that Alabama sat upon, and now they've been unable to adapt in the NIL portal culture, and you've seen Clemson's program dip. Maintaining this level is very difficult, but you can hear Kirby say it. It's a year-to-year proposition. That's one thing he's taken from Nick, obviously, very, very well. Kirby also had, in his opening comments, he took an unsolicited shot at his former defensive coordinator, Dan Lanning, who's now the coach at Oregon. Give a listen.
You know, I really think it's good to study successful people, whether that's in the sports industry or whether that's in the business industry. And this year we took Nike, who I've had the great pleasure of meeting Phil Knight and his wonderful wife Penny, and I wish I could get some of that NIL money that he's sharing with Dan Lanning, but that's another note. But the study of Nike for us has been incredible.
You might remember Nick making a comment about Texas A&M buying a roster and then Jimbo swiping back, and sometimes you feel when you've reached that level of success, you're untouchable, and you can make those sort of comments, being joking or not. People are sensitive when you talk about buying rosters and NIL money, whatever the case may be. And if you missed the story last week, there was one of the national reporters. It was Rick Neuheisel. Rick Neuheisel made a comment where he effectively said, and I'm paraphrasing, and he was relaying a conversation with Phil Knight where he said it's effectively that he was going to buy, willing to, unlimited NIL is what he said. Now, Phil Knight hasn't said that. Nike hasn't said that. But Neuheisel related that conversation, and that's gotten a lot of pub. I think it remains to be seen. Listen, Decorian Moore, the number 1 wide receiver in the country, committed to Oregon. DJ Pickett, a 5-star number 1 cornerback, is set to make his announcement tomorrow. There's a lot of thought that it's going to be Oregon. Maybe that is a situation of a lot of NIL money. We'll talk to Billy Embody, incidentally, here shortly about that and get our recruiting report. But it was interesting that Kirby made those comments. I'm curious if there isn't any maybe lingering trail of that coming from the West Coast. We'll have to wait and see what the reaction is. So Kirby took his turn, and then Josh Heupel followed. And just a bit ago, Brent Venables, and I'll come back to Tennessee, but I kind of wanted to tie together because I think it's a strange juxtaposition of Georgia with the realistic outsized expectations, and maybe Oklahoma coming into the league with similar expectations. But are they justified expectations? And Brent Venables was very clear. They're not scared of the challenge coming into the Southeastern Conference.
We're excited for the challenge as competitors, as a football program. Oklahoma, isn't intimidated as a football program. We're running towards the SEC. I think that goes without saying. We've looked forward for the last several years for this partnership to be a part of an amazing conference, the best conference in college football.
I believe him. And Oklahoma has had the type of success where you would anticipate that Oklahoma would not be fearful. I can't help but think, though, of the year in 2000, a dozen years ago, when Texas A&M and Missouri both came into the conference. And the feeling was that maybe, A&M would have the better football program. Missouri would have the better basketball program on the onset. Well, Missouri went to back-to-back SEC championship games. A&M had the Johnny football year and then really struggled to find any type of consistency over the last decade plus. But I look at Oklahoma, and I think they are in an inverse spot of Texas, where Texas, it looks like they picked their own schedule. They play 3 true road games. They get Vanderbilt and Kentucky on the schedule. I mean, they avoid Bama, they avoid LSU, they avoid Ole Miss. They get Georgia, but they get them at home. I mean, it's one of those where you look and go, man, that really worked out for Texas. OU is kind of the opposite of that. Oklahoma is going to play Tennessee. They're at Auburn. They play OU in the Red or Texas in the Red River rivalry game at a neutral site. They get South Carolina. They're at Ole Miss. They're at Missouri. They get Alabama at home. They're at LSU. I mean, it is a really tough schedule where when you look at Oklahoma, it may be a thing where with Jackson Arnold at quarterback, a talented team, a talented roster that won 10 games a year ago, but against that schedule, they may stare down an 8-4 season. So I think the baptism by fire into the league could very well come for Oklahoma here in year one, but much more from Brent Venables and Kirby Smart. Now, the former Oklahoma quarterback who led them to their most recent national championship all the way back in the year 2000 is Josh Heupel. Josh Heupel's now the head coach at Tennessee, and we will let you hear from Josh Heupel as we move throughout the show, because that's one of the team in that sort of, I'll steal this sort of phraseology, but the group of 5, Ole Miss, LSU, Alabama, Missouri, Tennessee, those 5 that everyone sort of roundly thinks, all right, after Georgia, Texas, which of those 5 will make the playoff? Well, Josh Heupel talked about that, and we'll get to that a bit later. Show Open Every Day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy in Louisiana with the great taste of Bud Light. Love telling you about our friends over at Mockler Beverage. Great community partners for decades in the greater Baton Rouge area, but now also their Homa office. They've expanded into southwest Louisiana to Lake Charles. If you're having a party, if you're just hanging out by the pool, watching the All-Star game tonight, grab an ice-cold Bud Light and drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of the LSU Tigers, the official beer of AFR. Okay, y'all, it is After Further Review. Tuesday show is powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Let me knock out our first break of the show. We have the good fortune every Tuesday here on AFR to visit with our buddy Shea Dixon from On 3, the Bengal Tiger. Well, his cohort, Billy Embody, physically here on Radio Row at SEC Football Media Days. So we'll get a LSU recruiting update with some big announcements coming. That's with Billy Embody when we continue. We're glad you're with us here on AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. You know what to do. If you've been injured in an accident, it's not your fault. You need representation. Do what injured people in our state have done for more than 30 years. You can go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com, or you can call the 888-8888, 888-8888, or go to getgordon.com. Gordon and his team of attorneys have offices all over the state of Louisiana. So no matter where you reside, you can talk to a local attorney in your market, part of Gordon's G team that have represented more than 10,000 Louisiana residents over the last 30 years, recovering more than $2 billion in damages. We love telling you about Gordon Gives, obviously the members of the G team, the great NIL deals that they've done over the last couple of years in NIL. If it's other things like the bicycle giveaway around Christmas, the laptop giveaway around graduation, Gordon loves being involved in the community, and we love being part of the G team as well. So if you've been injured, you know what to do. Go to getgordon.com. Get Gordon and get it done.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency.
Plowing these fields in the hot summer sun, over by the gate, Lordy, here she comes.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Day 2, Radio Row SEC Football Media Days. Thrilled to have you aboard with us here. Coverage all week is presented by Parish Construction and Roofing. Visit parishbuilt.com. And also presented by Rev Business and Relief Windows. Usually on Tuesdays, we talk to Shay Dixon on 3 the Bengal Tiger, get a little recruiting report. Well, we have Billy Embody physically here on Radio Row. So take that, Shay. Cheating on you today with our side piece. Billy's here. Thank you. How are you, man? Good to see you.
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing really well. You know, it's so interesting being at this event to have you because every interview I do on every station where they ask about LSU, everyone keeps saying, well, does LSU have the talent defensively to be better? And I think the answer is no. How do you feel?
I don't know if they have the talent in the secondary to be that much better defensively, but I think what they can do is if they can develop their young talent on the defensive line that they've brought in if they can get a little bit more out of those transfers on the defensive line, like Suggs and Paez, then maybe that helps those linebackers flow. But the X factor that I've talked with people that ask me about is, will Harold Perkins be that star in his new role, like he has been for LSU in all the other ways that they've used him? And if he can be that type of a game wrecker, that at least gives you that key centerpiece for LSU to kind of build around at that second level of that defense. And I do think that Blake Baker's scheme, the staff that has been brought in, is better suited to develop the guys they have. And look, it can't get much worse.
They can't be worse. And Billy, I think I've told everybody, I've used the same line 1,000 times. Like, I don't think they're going to be great this year defensively, but like they can't be worse. Just don't be the worst defense ever. You know what I mean? So the question, how much better can they be? And I agree, they'll be coached better, they'll be better, but they're not going to be elite again until you improve the talent. That obviously starts in recruiting. So let's talk about what they're doing on the defensive side of the ball. Tomorrow, Wednesday, a 5-star DJ Pickett, the number 1 cornerback in the country, expected to make his announcement. All we hear is how, I mean, his own words were his relationship with Corey Raymond is like no other. Like, very clearly, it's not all about just your position coach, but that seems to give LSU a big leg up, maybe.
Yeah, and Corey's been recruiting him since his days at Florida, and he's from Tampa. He's from right down the road from where Corey was in Gainesville, and even when Corey was there was always a thought that he was going to go out of state. That's why Miami is still having to swing and try and find a way to keep him in state so hard, because he has had his eyes outside of the state, you know, whether it be Oregon, whether it be some other players in his recruitment throughout. But Oregon and LSU have emerged as the two top programs to land him. And, you know, in a battle like this, where there is so much at stake for a Mario Cristobal, when Oregon has pushed so many chips in on a DJ Pickett and Corey Raymond too, you know, Corey has really pushed a lot of chips in on DJ Pickett. It's so important that they find a way to come away with him, because he is an instant impact player. He's all of 6'4". He's got all the measurables. He plays both ways. He is a stud. And when it comes down to his decision, his father's told us at On 3, it's a lot of back and forth. And you know what that means whenever you hear that. For the most part, it's, well, what's the NIL opportunity going to be? And I don't think he's necessarily a true highest bidder type of player, because I do feel like he's got some good relationships across the board. So it's weighing going to the opposite corner of the country in Oregon, you know, all the way away from his family. It's going and playing with family, Cannon Pickett, his cousin at Miami. You know, that's an opportunity that's there. And then it's LSU, which is kind of a mix between, you know, Corey Raymond, who's recruited you for so long. He's developed you. He's had help from the entire staff. He's had NFL talent from LSU reaching out to DJ and recruiting him and sharing why this would be a good opportunity for him. And LSU, I think, with this class, we've heard about NIL with the transfer portal, but you don't have the number 1 overall prospect in the country and Bryce Underwood committed without a strong NIL opportunity. And I think this is one of those players that LSU is going all out for in that realm. So I don't think that's going to be ultimately what leads him away from LSU. I think it's going to be a matter of balancing those things, but he can make a pretty penny wherever he goes.
How do you think, do you have a feeling how the decision goes on Wednesday?
You know, Steve Wiltfong put a pick in for Oregon earlier this morning, and I do feel like they've had a little bit more confidence over the last several weeks versus LSU and Miami, who have done well. They keep in constant contact, all of those things. But we've also seen a lot of prospects as of late kind of play a little bit of a game and end up going somewhere else. Like, look at CJ Wiley, 4-star wide receiver out of Georgia, LSU legacy. LSU and Georgia kind of thought they were battling it out. Well, he ends up committing to the Seminoles. So there are some other examples throughout this cycle, and maybe DJ's playing a little bit of intrigue, because there's not many times anymore when people don't know where you're going.
Yeah.
And DJ is a super quiet kid. He doesn't really do many of the interviews himself, unless you catch him in person. But he's really high on these 3 programs, and it wouldn't shock me if he went anywhere. But right now, Oregon does seem like the one with a buzz.
Well, the 2 highest-rated uncommitted cornerbacks are Pickett and Jabari Antoine, a kid from New Iberia. How do we feel about Antoine, whose decision's coming up as well?
The interesting thing about Jabari is he is deciding this weekend. It sounds like Miami's going to land him. Chevis Jackson, Lance Guidry down there, recruiting him and have made him a big priority. And I think sometimes kids commit so early in the process from Louisiana at times. And right when Corey Raymond got back, he got Jabari Antoine and others on the staff helped get Jabari Antoine to commit to LSU. And then during that time, they knew that they had to go out and get incredible talent and upgrade that room. They tried for Dorian Brew. They're working on DJ Pickett. By the time Jabari makes his decision, DJ will have made a commitment. But those are high-end talents that had to be prioritized, and they're from out of state. And so they had to spend a lot of time on that. And like Keelan Moses going to visit Texas A&M, sometimes kids just feel a little, like they might not have been the big priority. Everybody in the linebacker class is talking about CJ Ross, who's committed to LSU, 4-star on the rise. And so I think that's one of those situations where Jabari might not have felt as much love as maybe he should have throughout the process. But the good thing is it is July, which everybody knows is when classes are all signed, sealed, and delivered. So I don't expect it to be LSU. I would think Miami's the pick this weekend for him, but he'd be a nice land to get into the boat at some point from a perception.
Yeah. Billy Embody on 3, the Bengal Tiger, good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here from Radio Row, talking recruiting. So a lot coming up. Look, I mean, if you don't get Pickett or Jabari Antoine, where do you go next? The corner.
Well,
you've got to get players back there.
100%. And I think the big thing that Brian Kelly's staff, with this defensive staff that he's brought in, is going to do is if they miss, which hopefully we talk about some good news here in a bit,
no doubt.
But if they miss, they're a staff that can go out in the transfer portal in December and not leave it to the spring, which was a miscalculation, I think we all know.
Yeah.
But they will go out and be aggressive and spend some of the money that would have gone to a Pickett or would have gone to somebody else. And let's go get a instant starter, an all SEC type of cornerback that can step in right away, maybe has multiple years. Or maybe somebody emerges, maybe they flip someone. All of those things are on the table because, as we saw last year with Don McKinley, Gabe Relaford, guys like that, it's a lot of time.
Yeah. Derek Meadows, other side of the ball, receiver, big kid out of Bishop Gorman. I think you guys have him as a 5-star. One of the service has him as a 5-star. Top 50 in your composite. Is LSU going to get him on Saturday? It certainly feels like it was trending that way. And then whenever he announced he was delaying the decision a week, it was kind of like, for me anyway, my perception was, So what's going on there?
Yeah, I think Derek Meadows is one of the guys that when you look at it on the surface, LSU had him on a midweek official visit, and people were kind of like, oh, this is a throwaway official visit. He's going to Notre Dame. Well, LSU staff has really worked really hard on him and tried to get them into the mix, and so much so that I think they had all that momentum going into the decision. Alabama and LSU were the 2 schools that were talked about the most. I think Notre Dame was kind of shocked by that, and so they certainly pushed back and said, hey, let's talk about this a little bit more, and let's see if we can maybe work some magic back our way. And so as we sit here on Tuesday, there's still, again, a lot of time, but LSU is very much in the picture for Derek Meadows, very much, I would say, sitting in a good spot.
Yeah.
And, that would be after a summer of, DeCorey Moore and Cleek Lockett and some of these big receivers not going LSU's way. This would be one that would be a huge land, and I think there's a good chance it happens.
Who are the other players coming up here this weekend or in the coming weeks we need to be keeping an eye on?
Yeah, 2 that I want to talk about are CJ Jim Coyley out of the state of Tennessee, a 4-star defensive back who is actually down and a program, but Brian Kelly's probably battled a good bit throughout his career, Stanford. So you don't hear too many LSU Stanford battles, but they are certainly.
That's Stanford out of the ACC, by the way.
That is right. We've got to retrain ourselves on that stuff, but LSU is sitting in a good spot here as well. And I think Jake Olson deserves a lot of credit for the work he's done to get LSU in a position where you can be in a battle with Stanford, because it is a particular type of young man that goes to Stanford and has different priorities than, for the most part, kids that LSU recruits and, all of those things. And they've done well enough where I would say LSU's the favorite probably going into whenever he makes a decision. And so that's something that he and his family are going to continue to talk through, because it is two very different places, very different programs and universities. But LSU looks good for CJ Jim Coyley. And lastly, but certainly not least, Walter Buddy Mathis out of the East Coast is a 3-star defensive tackle. He's officially visited Auburn, Clemson, LSU, a couple others. He's a big priority for Bo Davis as well. And I would say LSU sits in a really good spot to land him. So if you think about getting Zion Williams, Brandon Brown, Buddy Mathis, that's a good trio of defensive tackles that can completely revamp that room once you lose a Jacoby and Guillory. And that puts LSU back on track in terms of the long-term bright future you would hope Bo Davis would build in that room.
So much of this 2025 class, the conversation's been all the elite offensive players, and everyone's been like, where are the defensive guys? Where are the defense? Well, here come the defensive guys. It was only a matter of time. Billy Embody on 3, the Bengal Tiger. Follow him on Twitter, X, whatever you call it. And I still like to say Twitter, old habits die hard, whatever, right? Why would you get – Elon's brilliant. He's a billionaire. But, why would you get rid of one of the greatest brands?
I know. Tweet. It's now Post.
Let's just go with Twitter.
Yeah.
He's Billy Embody. Thank you. All right, we continue here from Radio Row, brought to you by Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com, Michelli.com. If you weigh or measure something, you know the drill. They sell, service, rent the products you use to weigh and measure. They do it better than anyone. They've been doing it for nearly 80 years now. Their corporate headquarters in Harahan, but they've expanded to more than 30 offices across a dozen different states. I love to look at their growth and the continued growth and development, and say it all the time. ISO 17025 accreditation. Precision measurement is accuracy. It's money. You need it, and they're the best. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Also, their mobile calibration labs and devices are available as well. So if you have equipment that can't leave your facility or you don't want to leave your facility, they can come to you. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement, online at Michelli.com. That's Michelli.com. Okay, day 2, Radio Row, SEC Football Media Days. Thanks to Billy Embody. Dari Nowa of the SEC Network set to join us when we come back on the flip side of the break. We're actually trying to get Oklahoma quarterback Jackson Arnold with us live. Turns out that the SID walking around with Jackson Arnold, believe it or not, is a Baton Rouge guy who went to Most Blessed Sacrament and Malachi. So we have this kindred spirit. So I think we're going to be able to make this work. So hopefully that'll happen here. And Greg Sankey, SEC Commissioner, 30 minutes from right now. Don't you move. It's AFR.
AFR.
Love telling you about River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001, or 1hourbr.com. Love sharing those great 5-star Google reviews with you all the time. Jeff Blanchard set this one in. Josh, the technician, is very professional and personable, informative with what he was doing. Great in communicating how the system was running, things I can do to make it better. He patiently answered detailed questions. Another 5-star review from Jeff Blanchard of River City's 1 Hour Air. If you have trouble with your HVAC system, you need River City's 1 Hour Air. They've been servicing Greater Baton Rouge for 40 years. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with a giant clock on the side. Give them a call, 752-0001, 752-0001, 752-0001, or online at 1hourbr.com. They save you time and they save you money. That's why River City's 1 Hour Air, they always say, we're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150. $10,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Rev Business is here to connect your company beyond your storefront. We're here to power your passion, improve your communication, and link you to your customers with the services you need and the local support you deserve.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana.
She ain't a fooling me. She thinks my tractor's sexy.
After further review powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Dari Nowa joins us live, Radio Row, SEC Football Media Days. We play the tractor song because we're brought to you by John Deere. Sunshine.
Little sexy tractors, always good.
You a country music guy?
Not really, no, man.
Me either.
I'm really not. I'm kind of like, so the country I like is some of the 90s, maybe early 2000s, but I don't really listen to too much of it, no. But I tell you, I'm kind of coming into like the Luke Combs thing, though. I do appreciate him.
When college Dari Nowa was in Norman, Oklahoma, what was he listening to at frat parties?
Or
maybe not frat parties, just in the car.
In general, so I'm an AC/DC fanatic.
Okay.
I'm trying to think back. Who would Green Day was maybe coming in.
You were late 90s,
yeah, 94 to 98.
Grunge,
Pearl Jam, Nirvana, STP, Candlebox, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, all that stuff. Yeah.
Wheelhouse,
yeah,
man.
right. I mean, so no country.
I went to last fall. Drove over to Houston. My buddy's the best man at my wedding. Lives in Austin. I'm in Baton Rouge. We met in Houston to watch Guns N' Roses and Alice in Chains. I mean,
God, how was GNR? Were they still?
Hey, Rivers. He's not in the shot. Guns N' Roses was incredible. I respect so much the fact that they knew who they were. Axl can't hit the notes like he did, but they gave it their damned all.
Did he do his movements and Slash is still
Slash was amazing.
Yeah.
Alice in Chains blew my mind.
Did they?
Because they even with no Lane Staley, who's obviously been dead for 20 years. Whoever the new lead guy, sounds just like Jerry Cantrell was awesome. They were amazing.
Something when the new guy sounds like the old, like Journey. Remember that same bit, right? A couple years ago, AC/DC's on tour. And I didn't go because their lead singer, Brian Johnson, ended up stepping away from the tour. Mm-hmm. You know who replaced him? Axl freaking Rose.
No way.
And I heard that Axl was phenomenal filling in on AC/DC.
I bet so.
Yeah.
Would you remind? So I love that Oklahoma's here today, and we get to talk to you on Oklahoma Day. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite. So this is we've been coming to Media Day since 2012. I don't math, so however many that is.
Yeah.
One of my favorite stories ever was you telling me a story of like storming the field as a student at OU. Can you remind me of that story?
Well, this was I stormed the court as a student.
It was a football when you told me.
So storming the field in football,
Who's the coach before? It was before Stoops.
John Blake.
Blake was the coach. It was an upset win.
Okay. Oh yeah. We beat Syracuse. So we had lost the week before that.
Now we got it.
To North.
How did you remember?
Well, because we didn't have many good wins then.
But that's how could you forget?
Yeah, well, I don't know. So we were playing Syracuse. It was like 98 degrees, right?
Yeah.
Now the year before that, or the week before that, we went to play Northwestern at Soldier Field in Chicago. They beat us 24-0. Like we had sucked, man. We had 94, 5, 6, 7. I was a student for the 4 worst years in program history. Okay, first worst 4-year stretch. 97, get beat by Northwestern, 24-zip Soldier Field. Come home for Syracuse, who's got Donovan McNabb, and they should rip us apart, right?
Yeah.
It's 98 or something degrees. He is third and fourth quarter, about half the snaps. He lines up under center, steps out, throws up on the field, gets back in, right? And
is that a real thing?
Yeah, he's puking all over our field,
so
man.
Good.
And they're lined up for a field goal to win the game. It's like 36-34 maybe we're up. And we block it. And the play storms the field.
Yeah.
And I stormed. And it was really cool, man. But, like, it's funny because you look back at, like, all the championships they'd won, conference titles and national titles before they, like, man, we're storming a field because we beat an average to maybe a mediocre to good Syracuse team.
Yeah.
Like, this is where we are now. And I'm glad we're not still there.
No doubt.
That would be a bad place to be coming into this league.
So is it Dari Nowa is our guest? Is it weird for you? I'm sure you get this a lot. Like, you've been able to at least maintain your fandom because I mean, you work for the SEC Network. OU hasn't been in the league.
Although at times in postseason it feels like
no
we have,
no
right?
doubt,
Yeah.
no doubt. I mean, look, LSU fans remember
Yeah.
there's 2 big ones, though, 3 national championship and then the Peach
Burrow
Bowl
just
2019.
threw another touchdown, I think, in that game.
What was it like watching that game?
Oh,
I'd like to hear that story.
that was well. I mean, look, I didn't have any expectations because one, Joe Burrow was Joe Burrow, and that offense was that offense, and 2, OU had some key players suspended right before that. Key pass rusher, and the defense was atrocious. And there wasn't a little itty-bitty teeny part of me that thought OU had a chance in that ball game. I just didn't see 60 whatever to 20 to whatever.
63.
I mean, 5 first-half touchdown passes or 6 or whatever it was.
I don't know
didn't
if
think
you
it would
Justin
be
Jefferson's
that bad.
pretty good at receiving.
Yeah. Jefferson, Chase, those are good players, right? Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Joe Burrow. Yeah, no, we had no answer that day. It was what it was. The one that got me was the Georgia game. That was the one where, as a fan, and I'm on the field in Pasadena, and OU's up 10 in the third quarter, and I'm thinking there's no way we lose that game. And then Sony Michel in double overtime runs right past me. I've got an incredible video with my phone for a touchdown, and Georgia beats OU in the semifinal at the Rose Bowl. That was the one time I felt like I got kicked into you-know-what. But hey, totally unbiased at the end of it.
So you're there working. Were you there as a fan or working?
Working.
So you're credentialed as a member of the SEC.
Oh yeah,
Network,
we did interviews with Kirby Smart, Roquan Smith when the game was over, and Matt, I'm there with Matt Stinchcomb, Georgia legend,
yes,
right?
Of course.
And Chris Doring, who you would have thought was a Georgia Bulldog the way he rooted for those guys that day because he's such an SECer, right? And I went like happy for the SEC.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm standing next to Greg Sankey. I'm standing next to Greg Sankey in the first quarter, and he like hits me and he goes, "So who you going for?" And I say, "Greg, you know better than that." And then OU throws a touchdown pass right off the Hollywood Brown touchdown, and it's in the corner we're standing. And Greg looks at me and he goes, "I'm watching you." And I said, "I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything." But I mean, he knew who everybody, they all know who I'm rooting for. But that's because we all love who we love, right? We're from where we're from. We went where we went, and it's college sports. We're all passionate.
They told me if I have one more minute with you, so I do want to ask you. Do you mind if I ask you about Dari and Mel?
Ask me whatever you want.
We obviously we're an ESPN affiliate. We carry Dari Mel. I know the show went away, but people ask me about it all the time because people love the show. So can you kind of tell our audience like what's up? So no more Dari and Mel?
No more Dari and Mel. No, they told us in the beginning of April that May 5th or 6th or whatever was going to be our last show. Mel and I have done it for almost 14 years. We've become incredibly good friends. Our show unit's incredibly close. I think it was a business decision by them. Weekend radio, I don't think they really wanted to prioritize it that much. It's just what it is. Business call. I hated it. Mel hates it. We miss doing the show. I wish we were still doing it.
I do too. But I always love when we get to visit. Hopefully you don't get to storm a field whenever LSU plays in Baton Rouge soon, or it plays in Norman soon.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that. Peter Burns would do that. I wouldn't do that.
He'd so do that.
He'd so do it.
Dari Nowa, I know you got to run, and then Jackson Arnold's going to jump in your chair.
He's good.
Unless
He's
you want to hang out. Do you want to hang out?
I think she's got to.
They got to
go somewhere else.
I get it. Thank you so much.
But one sooner to another, let Jackson take the reins here.
You're the best. I appreciate you, man. As
you
always,
got it,
for the
man.
time.
Always fun.
Dari Nowa, SEC Network. It is After Further Review. We're here at Radio Row. Day 2, presented by Parrish Construction and Roofing. And, of course, also brought to you by Rev Business and Relief Windows. And from a former Sooner to a current Sooner, quarterback of the Sooners, Jackson Arnold, good enough to jump aboard with us. How are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm Matt. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
That's we're making each other's acquaintance right now live on the radio. Your day's about to wrap, yeah?
Pretty much.
Yeah? So how was this for you? I mean, a young guy coming here, obviously first time. What was this like?
Obviously a new experience for me. Never been to a media day before, but I had a good time.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's you're talking for a while, but other than that, it's a good time.
What was the worst question you got?
I mean, all my questions were good, but I got some questions about if the horns down should be penalized.
We were talking about that earlier, man. Like, did people care? Did people really care?
I guess people really care about it, yeah.
Did people in the Big 12 care about it? I mean, I know you had just had 1 year.
They started penalizing, yeah.
I know, but it's just so weird that would be a thing.
Yeah, I guess it really gets to people. So I'm indifferent. It doesn't matter to me.
So y'all are going to play in Baton Rouge this year at the end of the season. I know like Oklahoma and Texas have the rivalry. There's no more Bedlam, right? But you have the Texas rivalry. It's a weird thing for LSU because LSU doesn't really have a rival.
Mm-hmm.
It's always kind of been, whatever is the biggest game of the year sort of thing. That Thanksgiving LSU Oklahoma thing could be pretty cool if it materializes. What do you think about playing in Baton Rouge that weekend?
Yeah, everyone I've talked to today, like they asked me the question, like which one are you looking forward to which away game are you looking forward to the most? And my answer is Death Valley, for sure. I mean, Death Valley at night, you've heard about it. Never played there. I've never been there at night, so I'm super pumped up for that game.
I hope it's a night game.
Yeah, I do too.
You might want to be careful what you wish for it too.
But I mean, just like from an atmosphere, like
of course,
that's gonna be sick.
Yeah.
If we score, you might go quiet. Like you just love that. It's gonna be awesome.
Who did you grow up a fan of? Like, did you grow up watching football?
I grew up. So I was born in Atlanta, Georgia. I lived there for 10 years. So
Sure.
I grew up a Dog fan.
So you grew up a Georgia fan.
Sir.
So was the temptation there to go to Georgia, considering like they're in the height of the greatest era they've ever had?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I grew up a Georgia fan. We didn't win anything, and then as soon as I stopped becoming a Georgia fan, they started winning. But during my recruiting process, I was committed to Oklahoma for a while, and for nearly a year at that point. I committed in January of 2022, and that fall, like towards like November, October, November, is they started hitting me up because I guess they didn't get who they wanted in that cycle or whatever it was, and they started hitting me up, and they tried to get me on a visit down there, and they were trying to use my past to really get me down there. And for me, I was more bought into Coach V, his culture, the environment he creates there, and he creates at OU, and just what he was going to do for me and my family, and how he's going to develop me as a player and a person.
Do you ever get nervous
before games?
Yeah,
for sure.
Do you like? I don't mean to be like, but do you like? There's some guys that just have to throw up to feel good. Like, do you do anything like that? Is there anything you do to calm yourself before a game?
No, I just get it's like butterflies. I mean, I just get nervous, but like as soon as you start playing, like it just goes away. I feel like a lot of people are like that. Now, I've heard the throwing up stories, and that's just, I hate throwing up. Like, I'll only throw up like when I'm sick, and like during workouts and stuff, I don't throw up. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Tastes awful and miserable. It's awful. So I couldn't just willingly throw up before games. I can't do that. But I do get nervous before, but it usually goes away pretty quick.
They're giving us the wrap. Tell me a player on OU's roster that people in the SEC don't know, a name that everyone will know by the end of the season.
Bauer Sharp.
Why?
Tight end, transfer guy from southeastern Louisiana. Obviously a smaller school, transferring to a big school, trying to make a name for himself, and made a splash in the spring ball. Did great. He's an extremely hard worker. Extremely talented guy, and he's actually a former quarterback that switched to tight end in college. That's why that's why he was probably at like a smaller school like that as a tight end, and he's able to transfer to a school like Oklahoma now. But he's got all the tools necessary. just got to be a great leader for us this year, and he'll be very productive for us.
Wish you good luck and a healthy season, man.
Yes,
we'll
sir.
see you in Baton Rouge
Thank
around
you.
Thanksgiving.
Yes, sir.
It's a pleasure. That
Nice
is
to meet you.
Jackson Arnold. That's Oklahoma's starting quarterback. We appreciate a couple of minutes with him here on the show. All right, let's knock out a quick break. We'll continue. We'll have a quick segment to wrap up. That was very lucky. We appreciate it. It worked out that SID Hollier came by, the Catholic High alum came by. All right, let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back and wrap up hour number 1 next on AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Duplessis Builders. Hey, if you are thinking about building a pool, if you've ever thought about building a pool, if you have a pool that really just needs to be remodeled, maybe updated, you need to call Duplessis Builders. Better yet, start at the website, duplessisbuilders.net, duplessisbuilders.net. I know I've told you this before, but Derek Duplessis, his background is in engineering. He's a mechanical engineering graduate from LSU with a minor in aerospace engineering. Worked as an engineer, decided he wanted to pivot, started his own pool company, fastest growing pool company in our area, and he just doesn't cut corners. He builds a premium product. If you want a great experience, a 10-year workmanship guarantee, you want Duplessis Builders. Check them out online, duplessisbuilders.net, duplessisbuilders.net. You'll get a beautiful pool, great work, and an unbelievable experience. Check them out, again, online at duplessisbuilders.net.
There's nothing chill about a hot, sweaty line. Unless you add Mountain Cold Refreshment. Coors Light. Choose chill.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
We continue from Radio Row, Day 2, SEC Football Media Days. Our coverage all week presented by Parrish Construction and Roofing. Visit parrishbuilt.com. Also, Rev Business and Relief Windows. As we wrap up hour number 2, Greg Sankey will be here in 10 minutes from right now. Muse, do me a favor here. Catch us up on Day 3 of the MLB draft, if you would.
Sure thing. So this has been a really, really good day for LSU. You're about halfway through round 19, so about a round and a half left to go. Christian Little was drafted in the 11th round. He made 8 Tigers, and then Justin Lohr made 9 in the 13th round, and that's it. No Jared Jones, which is obviously of the most utmost importance. No more signees for LSU, whether it be high school or junior college or transfers for that matter. So just Little and Lohr, and again, you're about a round and a half to go. And then Michael Braswell yesterday on Twitter obviously teased a return. He has not been drafted either. So really, really good day 3 for LSU so far in Dallas.
I don't know that Jay Johnson could have anticipated this going any better than it has. I guess you can hold your breath and see if a team takes a flyer on Jared Jones and see if they can get an oversign, but it sure feels like all of the scuttle that we'd heard really in the last week and a half about trending toward, like Herring being the sophomore, draft-eligible sophomore that would sign and Bear Jones would come back. It looks like that's manifesting here. So, my goodness, when it is all said and done, you'll hear in another, I don't know, there are, 2 minutes between picks, so we talk about another maybe hour or so on the draft. We'll have a great sense of what this 2025 LSU baseball roster is going to look like. But if you have Bear Jones, Braswell back, the other thing, too, you've not heard Blaze Priester's name called. And that was one that we were going to sweat because that's very likely your starting catcher next year if he made it through the draft, and it looks like he will. Knock on wood, hold your breath, but LSU's almost home free there, so when it's done, we'll certainly be able to talk about it. Hey, we're brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, shawbillstire.com. You know where they are with 17 locations across South Louisiana. They're everywhere. They'll sell you name-brand tires at wholesale prices, but better than anything, they treat you like family. And because they treat you so good, they do great work at a fair price. They keep you coming back year after year after year. Look, tires are a commodity. You can buy tires anywhere, but they're going to sell you the best tires at the cheapest price. Treat you like family because they know that's going to create loyalty like it has with me and my family. Anytime we have any issue with our vehicles or tires, first thing we do, we go to Shawbills. Shawbillstire.com. Shawbillstire.com. Shawbills, where we keep you rolling. Okay, the Oklahoma Sooners are taking their turn here on Radio Row. Missouri also is wrapping up the day today. So Missouri's finishing actually literally right now. The last Missouri Tigers on the schedule are finishing at 3. Drinkwitz finishes at 3:45, so he actually is done now. So we are expecting that the Missouri players will come here to Radio Row in a bit, and I'll be curious if we have a chance to visit with any of the Missouri players, because that's a team similar to Tennessee that's in that clump that we keep talking about. The teams like LSU, Ole Miss, Alabama, Missouri, Tennessee that are college football playoff hopefuls. And Missouri had a 10-win season a year ago, and they won a bowl game to get to 11, but they lose Blake Baker. They lose their all-conference running back. Like, they lose a first-round draft pick on the defensive line. Like, can they find that consistency and get back to that 10-win mark and be knocking on the door of a college football playoff? We'll talk a bit more about the Missouri Tigers as we move through the afternoon. We're glad you're here. Greg Sankey joins us right after SportsCenter.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Optimize. Go to generatorpeople.com, generatorpeople.com, generatorpeople.com. Look, just a week ago around this time, Beryl was bearing down on southeast Texas and the Houston area, and thankfully, we in Louisiana avoided that storm. But it's only a matter of time, whether it's high wind, heavy rain, or a named storm. Power outages accompany them, and for us, our breaking point was Ida. And when Ida came through and knocked our power out for a week, we said never again. We got a Generac automatic home standby generator, and it's been an amazing decision. And I know everyone would want a Generac automatic home standby generator. The question is, who do you call, and can you afford it? Well, can you afford it is easy. If you have $600 for a down payment, they have financing options at Optimize that would fit any budget. And who do you call? Well, you call Optimized. They're Louisiana's #1 Generac dealer. 4 physical locations across the whole 10-12 corridor. So from Lake Charles all the way to Slidell, it's Optimized. Go to generatorpeople.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Receiver Brandon Ayuk has officially requested a trade from the 49ers amid his contract dispute. Teams that have reached out to the Niners have been told they have no intention of trading him. Bears quarterback Caleb Williams' deal is done. The #1 overall pick in the NFL draft signed his 4-year rookie contract, $39 million fully guaranteed. ESPN NFL analyst Damian Woody.
Obviously, when we talk about Caleb Williams, I don't know if a #1 pick has been set up better for a quarterback coming in than Caleb Williams has in Chicago. I think GM Ryan Pace has done a masterful job of really surround his young quarterback with the type of weapons that's going to need to compete not only in the NFC North but in the NFC Conference as a whole.
Damian Woody on Unsportsmanlike. The Bears also signed their other first-round pick, receiver Rome Odunze, to his rookie deal. Amid all the stars tonight in Arlington, Texas, center stage belonged to 22-year-old Pirates rookie phenom Paul Skeens. 7 Eastern ESPN Radio for the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Skeens starts for the National League against the AL.
Hey, it's Courtney Cronin. Coming up Wednesday, new Alabama head football coach Kalen DeBoer joins us at 8 a.m. Eastern to discuss replacing Nick Saban and getting ready for the season. It's on Sportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. We're here, Day 2, Radio Row, SEC Football Media Days. Our coverage all week is presented by Parrish Construction Roofing, of course, Rev Business and Relief Windows. Our pleasure, as we do every year, we get an opportunity to visit for a brief while here with the Commissioner of the SEC. It is Greg Sankey. How are you, sir?
I'm well. Thank you for being here.
It's our pleasure. I think you and I were actually talking, was it 2 or 3 years ago when the Texas-Oklahoma news broke?
3.
It was 3 years ago. And, well, I would expect you to remember.
I'm starting to shake and sweat now.
I fully expect that you would remember it. But it was one of those weird things where that news broke and then you were already scheduled to be with us like 10 minutes later. So it was good timing. Now that 3 years have gone by and the culmination, and here we are, how does it feel to be the commissioner of this now expanded 16-team league?
There's an excitement and a relief. It's taken so long to get here. I think it was the longest run-up from announcement to entry ever in the history of college sports. But that's the way contracts work. And you see some people right now in other conferences disputing their contractual commitments. Yeah. But both the presidents of Oklahoma and Texas said we want to be respectful. And we want this to be an orderly transition. And they're a year earlier than we projected when we extended the invitation, but we're really excited to be here. And I think what's happened during the 3 years in college sports at the highest level since that interview in 2021 has really answered the why, has clarified that our decision-making was on point. We've been able to make our own decisions. We haven't been in a reactionary position. And I think it just sets us up for really exciting opportunities ahead. I
think people sometimes ask questions like, well, how do you feel about conference realignment or the state of college football? To be quite honest, I don't really care how people feel. I'm curious if college football is going to be in a healthy state for another 100 years, 150 years. I personally think it is. I think we are moving in a very, it's uncomfortable for people, but it's a very positive direction for college football. Is this realignment, in your mind, not just the SEC, but all around, a good thing for college football?
Yeah, I thought you were setting me up for like this really easy answer to a question, which is we're going to be judged down the road in decades about the opportunities that exist and the health of those opportunities. And I think what's ahead allows the indication that, yeah, we can have this kind of excitement, this passion, this interest around the games that we play. Now, to the question you asked at the end, which was almost is this kind of conference movement sustainable? So I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's a bit my interpretation. I think ours absolutely is. I think the reality is we added less than 100 miles to our longest trip. We are in contiguous states, very accessible cities. Everybody meets the "it just means more" test, which is what one of our athletics directors said as we were considering this, and Oklahoma and Texas joined with our 14 to make that true. I think economically we continue to grow and provide the kind of support to our programs that flows to our student athletes. I don't know how far that goes. So you have those spread across 3 and 4 time zones with great distances. My view is what happens in football stadiums in the fall helps build what happens in basketball arenas in the winter, which helps build what happens in baseball stadiums in the spring. And it's this circular environment. And so us playing each other more in different ways, and we've done that with our scheduling approach, I think is incredibly healthy. Those playing less and dividing, bifurcating their competition, I don't know where that leads.
Greg Sankey is our guest. One of the things you mentioned in the big room that I found interesting is that with there no longer being divisions, we don't yet have a tiebreaker scenario for the conference championship game Can you give us what the options are and when a decision will be made?
We have a tiebreaker. So
okay.
Yeah, I want
to
back up. He asked, like, the way the question was asked, have you been thinking about this? And you're like, yeah, but we haven't announced it because you're dialing it in, if you will. And I'll just go back to before expansion.
I'm sorry, what do you mean dialing it in?
Well, should the word be will or would or is or won't? Just should the priority be different, so we're not having clear head-to-heads across the board like we do in division. So when you think about the divisional format, what it allowed is everybody in the division played each other. And so the first tiebreaker is head-to-head, but everybody in the division played each other.
Right.
So you don't have any gaps. In a single division, the first tiebreaker is head-to-head, but you may have two teams that are, let's take 7-1. But they didn't play each other. And so now you have a descending order of priorities. And that's really what's being worked through. And this goes back to a discussion that started probably in 2019, 2018, well before COVID and expansion, about should we pivot from two divisions into a single division format. And one of the discussions was, what does the tiebreaker look like? And we just spent time last Thursday on a video conference going back through pages of information. Ask for any final input. We'll make some adjustments. We'll put it back in front of our athletics directors, and we expect by mid-August we'll have that announcement. And then remember, tiebreakers are like car insurance, right? You never know how good it is until there's a problem. And so we want to make sure we pressure test, if you will, stress test these things. We've used an outside firm to help us with that thinking. But I'm going to predict, like, come November, you're going to be on the air because you're going to say they may have a 7-way tie for first place or second place, and then we keep playing games and it sorts itself out.
I'm the guy that's always going to say they're going to keep playing games and it's going to sort itself out. So I'm the guy that's not watching the college football playoff ranking show and melting because it just doesn't matter a month out.
Like, we've had times in 7-team divisions where 1st of November, you could have a 5-way tie for first in a division in the past few years, and that'll get reported by someone. And then we keep playing games. And
radio people are the worst. They come up with these topics to fill 3-hour shows and whatnot. Usually end up screaming red-faced about something. I don't know. Is there a chance we ever do away with the SEC championship game?
Not in the short term. Certainly not in the next 2 years. I've told people to relax. It's a cultural event. It's a reward. It's a challenge. And people say, well, it's going to hurt your chances. No, not necessarily. You have to determine a champion.
Yeah.
And would remember those old, like, radio interviews that people used to do and say they should determine champions on the field, doggone it.
Yeah.
And so if you're not playing everybody, how do you determine a champion on the field? So I tend to think you keep it. It's an important piece, but we're going to see. We've got in the next 2 years ability to understand what happens with the college football playoff expansion, how that plays back, how many regular season games you play. If you played more regular season games, you could have less or more opportunity for people to play each other during the regular season. And if you keep thinking about creative formats, are there other ways to approach things?
They did determine a champion on the field for 60 years before the conference championship game, so it is possible to do it without a conference championship game.
We had a very, very different approach to scheduling.
That's fair.
And a different tolerance for fairness, whatever that
I understand.
Means,
It's there's so many things that are interwoven. The game's magnificent. Everyone loves going there, but it does, in a sense, sometimes complicate things. Greg Sankey's with us for a couple more minutes. I was going to ask the question, are we any closer to a permanent football schedule? Of course, every day that passes, we're literally a day closer to whatever that
That's why I appreciate the intelligence of this radio show. Like, I get asked those questions, and nobody observes, yes, we're a day closer. We just don't know what the day is.
I've had the good fortune to do this with you for how many years now, so I have to make sure that I avoid quite literal answers. Let's see. How do I ask the question that I'm trying to ask?
I'll jump in, and I'll give you the answer before you ask. We have 24 and 25 schedules, 8-game schedules in place. We have change happening. So we're going to 16. We're going to have our first 16-team season at 8 games with a single division, learning opportunity. Rather than sit there and do predictive analytics, let's go learn from real life. We're going to have a college football playoff at 12 teams where the selection committee is going to have a different task. They're still ranking the best teams, but the pressure on 10, 11, and 12, depending on where that 5th conference champion plays out, I want to see how they rank us and how they order us based on the rigor of our schedule. And then when you get to the first quarter of next year, that seems a relevant time for decision making using the information we've already developed, the information we can gather this year, and think through our relationship with our television partner and how you might schedule if you increase the number of games. I think fans will ask, well, wait a second. I think it's great that we play Texas and Oklahoma, but there are 2 or 3 games every year that I've come to experience, and those need to stay on your schedule. And we can't accommodate every one of those at 8 teams, and so I think that pressure will probably mount. All of those are information points that we need to use that I think informs the question that you were going to ask me.
If I oversimplify it and say if your TV partner comes and says we're willing to pay you an exponentially large amount of money to increase your league schedule to 9 games, would that just be a universal yes?
Well, it's one of several data points. I don't know if it's a universal yes, but it'd be an important piece of information.
So you're saying there would be teams in the league that would push back against the – because as you've said before, and you're right, if you add a league game, you're guaranteeing every team in your league another loss. Or a half – you're guaranteeing half of your –
We're going to go 500 on that extra weekend.
Yes, as how that would go. Yeah, so it complicates bowls and a lot of different things.
Yeah, it's not absolutely linear, but you also see a fan behavior that's different, I think. The fans are really sophisticated in the Southeastern Conference. And SEC versus SEC games across the board in every sport draw people in at a different level than anything else. So it's not just the one factor, and that's why I'm careful to say that's a data point. Now, some may say, well, if that affects my college football playoff opportunity, I'm not sure I'm interested in that. But I think that's a two-way street. It's not just a definitive, if we do this, then that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of these things goes through real life, the competitive test, the on-the-field result. But it'd be an important piece of the conversation.
We should expand the playoff.
We just said we're going to do it. We haven't done it yet. So
we should do it even more.
Okay.
Are you in favor?
I express opinion.
Of further
I appreciate
expansion?
the expression of opinion. I think 12 satisfied a lot of the perspectives were brought in a unique way. And what if you look November 1st, so you don't get flipped out about the rankings, but if you were not really in the top 10 first rankings, you weren't going to be in the 4 teams.
Fair.
That's not absolute, but it's pretty close to that. And so what that says is a lot of teams had their season and their fan base thinking affected by not being in that mix when we were at 4. And so the observation is, well, when you go to 12, it diminishes the regular season. I actually think, and we did a lot of this research work during the consideration process, it brings people in. So the 5 conferences that are competing for that 5th championship spot, they may have 3, 4, 5 teams November 1 competing for their championship that are now in the conversation. I actually think that's good for college football.
I agree.
It means the 12th best team straight up in rankings may be displaced sometimes, but I think – that's the trade. You got to be one of the 7 best at-larges to get in. And then those 7 best at-larges, if you're one of our teams and you're in the top 20, maybe the top 25 November 1, you still have an opportunity to play your way in, given the scope of the games. I think that's good for the game. Now, if you expand that, somebody's going to have that conversation. We would have to think through the impact.
I've sat in Radio Row for so many years. And there's always wonderful people that manage schedules. Catherine does yours, obviously. And usually I'm the one getting the rap. She's looking at you saying, stop talking.
At some point, that part of the relationship changed because it was never about me. And then I think she's paid attention enough. She's like, wait a second, I'm getting mad at the radio people. And it's Greg that's the reason they keep going long and long and long.
I will be respectful of your time. Thank you as always.
Great to see you. Thank you for being here.
It.
New city, new place, new future for us. So
are we doing Atlanta, Nashville, Dallas? Atlanta, Nashville, Dallas?
We're doing Atlanta.
Okay, so it's not determined long. Okay, cool.
Right. Yeah, we're doing Atlanta.
If I get a vote, I like moving around. So.
I do too. I think we invented that in conference media days. Others are now following, which we've seen before. But we took a leap of faith, and I think it's worked really well to be in different venues.
Thank you, as always, for the time.
Thanks, Matt.
Great. That is Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC. We're here at Radio Row. We're brought to you by our friends over at Evermore, a healthier hydration solution. Drink Evermore, EVAMOR, evermore.com. That's evermore.com. You can order online or available at great local retailers. It is natural artesian water. If you're looking for a true alkaline source, you need to check out Evermore, EVAMOR. I am so grateful to the many, many, many of you who have tried Evermore, who have tweeted me pictures, tagged me in pictures on Facebook, Instagram. You've texted me on the show text line pictures of your bottles of Evamore. Continue to spread the good word about Evamore. Drink Evamore, EVAMOR, Evamore.com. Okay. Sincere thanks to Greg Sankey, always very generous with his time. Catherine, who manages the commissioner's schedule here, she's wonderful. Like, she has the patience of Job because, like, let me break to somewhat stay on time, and I'll come back and I'll finish that thought. But anyway, she was like, "Let's go, man. Let's go." To him, not to me. I'll break, come back, stay here. Radio Row Day 2. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Glow Resources, GLO, glowresources.com. At Glow Resources, they are complete employer solutions. Actually, I was in the media room earlier today, just getting a coffee, and I was scrolling through my Instagram, and I saw an Instagram story that Glow Resources put out. So Jareth Nakan, who's the CEO, they staged this video where it's like when the boss walks in, and it's people like just having fun at work or not working, and then he walked in the room, and then it was like this pristine work environment. They love to have fun at Glow. One of the reasons, truthfully, and they told me this from the onset, one of the reasons a lot of people hire Glow Resources is they like working with them. They have a great culture and environment around the building, and if you step inside of Glow Resources, you'll understand what I mean. But if you are in charge of hiring at your place of business and you need help getting the right people to make you more efficient to save money, you need Glow Resources. So check them out online at glowresources.com. That's GLO, glowresources.com.
Value Ford has $10,000 off F-150. $10,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, party plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly...
We ride back and forth till we run out of light. Take it to the barn, put it up for the night.
After further review powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Back here, Radio Row, SEC Football Media Days, Day 2. Tennessee Vols taking their turn. Fascinating team this year, a team that has college football playoff aspirations. And Keenan Pili is good enough to join us here on Radio Row, senior linebacker. He's got a pretty fascinating story in his own right. How are you, man? Thanks for the time.
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure, man. You have been in college forever.
It's true.
So for context, tell me if I'm wrong on this. I think I have this right. You were on the BYU team that played against LSU in New Orleans in 2017, weren't you?
No, I was on my mission.
Oh, you're on your mission then?
Yeah.
Okay, so what was your first season then?
Really 19, but I was in college in 2016,
okay.
redshirt year.
So you redshirted in 16 and then went on the mission in 17, 18.
Yes.
And then back to school in 19.
Yep.
That's a pretty winding path, right?
Yeah.
So being from Utah, like, was that always going to be your path? Like, I mean, did you anticipate starting school, then going on the mission and coming back?
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to start school. I feel like I wasn't ready to go on a mission yet. So I think that year gave me a year under the belt to, live on my own, learn, then go. So that was the plan.
How old are you?
Turned 26.
So you're 26.
Yeah.
When you're at 26, what's it like being in a locker room with guys that are 18 to 22? Because, like, I mean, look, like 4, 5, 6 years difference from 50 to 56, not that big a deal. 18 to 26 is maturity, pretty big deal. What's it like for you?
Sure? Yeah, it's different. It's a different dynamic. I feel like, being married, being older, kind of puts you in a different category than maybe an 18-year-old who just came out of high school, first time in college. So it's unique, but at the end of the day, like, having football as a common ground and being able to be with the boys daily, you build those relationships that go beyond it. So it's cool.
This will be your second season at Tennessee. Take me back to when you left BYU to go to Tennessee. Why you made that decision to transfer?
Yeah, it was a tough decision. Didn't expect it at all, actually. Just came down to me and my wife praying about it, and we felt like we should actually stay another year in college. Didn't know till later that we felt like it should be finished somewhere else. And really it was just following prayer in our heart. And, as time went on, still seeing that greater picture, whatever God's plan is for us, and grateful to be here at Tennessee.
Yeah. And, Tennessee is, it's a place where there's really, this season is really interesting because everybody knows and everybody talks about this offense for Tennessee, right? Josh Heupel and with Nico coming in at quarterback and him being an offensive guy. But the more I talk to people around Tennessee, around the program, the pretty familiar chorus is, this is the first time since Josh Heupel's been there that they actually have depth and dudes on the defensive side of the ball. I know this is only your second year there, but do you feel that you've seen that trajectory defensively?
You said it, depth. Yeah, I do. And I think it's because of that depth. Got some guys, a lot of guys last year, they got a lot of experience that, young guys don't usually get. So I feel like we're so much deeper because of the experiences last year, so much more ready, so much more mature.
When you do look at, if you flip it around and you look at the offensive side, so when you go against those guys in spring, you see them practice every day. What's the thing that stands out to you? Like, what's your, oh, wow, that's different. That looks really good.
The pace they move at, the things that they do, it tests you. It really does test you. And I feel like it helps us as a defense get better because it pushes you to be ready, to know your keys, your assignments, your checks. And I think that's the best thing about our offense is they push the pace, but then they also got a lot of talent that handles that.
Yeah. Keenan Pili is our guest, Tennessee linebacker, here for a couple more minutes, Radio Row. I look at the SEC this year. I don't expect you to look at it this way, but I think most people here think, okay, well, like Georgia, Texas are the teams that are at the top that'll probably be in the playoff in a 12-team playoff. And after that, it's like it's Tennessee, it's you guys, it's LSU, it's Bama, it's Ole Miss, it's Missouri, it's this group of teams sort of in that next tier. When you look at the schedule, are there games on this schedule that you think about that get you more excited than others, that you think are these swing games that you're pumped and you got to win? Do you think of it in those terms?
I force myself not to. I think that's the big thing I do. I gotta prepare the same way for every single team, or else I'm gonna slip up one. So I get too scared to even go into that boat. So I never do. Um, take it one game at a time. Prep like it's the biggest game of my life.
Are you superstitious at all?
Yeah, a little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
What's your big superstition? You have to do something a certain way before a game, pregame ritual or anything?
Yeah, pregame routine is huge for me.
What do you do?
Got to. It's nothing crazy. Started not listening to music. I have a kind of like an open dialogue with myself.
I love that, man. Like you verbalize it, you speak outwardly?
Yeah, or in a whisper sometimes. That helps. My prayer, and then I love seeing my family right before the game.
Yeah. Do you have kids too? You have children?
Not yet.
Not yet.
No.
One day, man.
We'll see.
It'll change your life when it comes. You probably have a lot on your plate as it is right now with school and another year of college football. I always love to do fit checks. So walk me through what you're wearing today.
All right, so this is
look at your dunks. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Are those customs?
Those are. Yep. I got the idea off someone online. I was like, man, I got to have that.
I got to take a picture of that.
So,
all right, you keep going. I'm going to take a picture of your shoes.
Nothing too crazy. Got the gray suit, kind of the light blue.
I love
tie, it. Got the tee on. Simple fit.
Very
summer
good.
fit.
Very good. What was a couple more for you? What was maybe one thing today that you got asked a ton about walking around? I mean, this is the very end of your day. I might be the last person you talked to. What did you get hit with a ton?
I mean, the video game.
Are you in
Texas, Oklahoma coming in? Yeah, I was. A lot about I'd say those two actually. I'll keep those two.
Is there anything that you are hoping to talk about more? You think that SEC fans should know about this Tennessee team that maybe people didn't ask you about that you were thought you'd get asked?
No, not specifically. They hit pretty well rounded, but I think they'll be surprised by some of the guys that have come in and some of the young guys that are coming up.
Have you gotten to lock horns with Lance Hurd at all yet? He's an LSU transfer.
Yeah.
Thoughts on him?
He's gonna be a great player. Man, he looks the part.
Yeah, he does look the part. You had a young running back from Louisiana as well, in our parts that everybody's excited to see as well. I know you got to run. I appreciate a couple of minutes. Good health to you and lots of luck this season. Okay.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Our coverage here at SEC Football Media Day is brought to you by Relief Windows, reliefwindows.com. Thrilled to have Brandon Holly and the gang over at Relief Windows, part of so much of what we do, not just on AFR every day, but here, of course, all of our coverage this week, Radio Row, SEC Football Media Days. And as I'm often fond of saying here, windows, doors, siding. Oh, yeah, they do indoor shutters as well over at Relief Windows. And, yes, they'll do windows and doors and siding. They'll do it better than anybody else. But more than anything else at Relief Windows, their number one product is customer satisfaction. That is not lip service. They will never take $1 from you until they're finished their work, and you are thrilled. It's Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. Call them today, 288-8138, 288-8138. If you are just calling to shop around for the best price, they're not going to be the cheapest, because when you do the best and you sell a premium product and you have that level of staff and experience, you're never going to be the cheapest, but they'll always be the best. It's Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. All right. Really good show. We're halfway home. Dari Nowa, Oklahoma quarterback. Jackson Arnold was here in hour one talking some recruiting with Billy Embody. Thanks to Greg Sankey, who was here at the start of this hour. You just heard from Tennessee linebacker Keenan Pili. When we come back, it's always our pleasure to be able to visit with Gary Stoken, the present CEO of the Peach Bowl. So excited to have Gary Stoken join us, talk about the Aflac kickoff game, the Peach Bowl, and, of course, an expanded college football playoff. So they'll do that as we continue here from Radio Row at SEC Football Media Days.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Darren James and Associates, brokered by LPT Realty. Buying or selling, commercial or residential. If you need a realtor, you need Darren James. You need the best. Remember, Darren James on the Wall Street Journal's list of the top 1% of realtors in America. That's Darren James. So if you need a realtor, why would you hire anyone than literally the realtor that sells more homes than anyone? That's Darren James. 335-7666, 335-7666. One more time, this is Darren Sell. 335-7666 or agent225.com. And remember, the new Darren James app, if you have not downloaded it yet, do not even consider looking
at Baton Rouge or Louisiana Real Estate without the Darren James app. So go to your app store, go to the Google Play Store, search Darren James, just search Darren's name, Darren James. You'll see the app pop up right there. Easy to search properties, get more info. It's simply the best place on an app for real estate. It's Darren James.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Rev Business is here to connect your company beyond your storefront. We're here to power your passion, improve your communication, and link you to your customers with the services you need and the local support you deserve. Backed by our commitment to 5-star reliability. For a limited time, get internet plus 2 hosted phone lines for only $133. A powerful combination at a great price. Visit letsrev.biz. Rev Business.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency.
It really turns her on.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Every year, it's our pleasure to visit with Gary Stoken. He's the Peach Bowl CEO, good enough to join us to talk about both Peach Bowl and the Aflac kickoff game. How are you, sir?
Great, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. And I
always know it's football season when I come see you down here at the SEC Media Days.
That's true, and you bring Dylan with you, so you got a good LSU guy.
LSU is well represented.
LSU, as you learn, Rivers is Mississippi State, so we were telling cowbell stories. Will you tell your cowbell story real quick?
Yeah, so I can't remember what year it was when I invited Mississippi State to come to the Peach Bowl. You're probably looking it up.
That had to be 01.
But it was like
yes?
01,
I think so.
Because 2000 was the Independence Bowl in the snow against A&M.
Yes.
01. It would have been 01. And I invited Larry Templeton. I said, Larry, I know the SEC has precluded you from bringing cowbells to the Georgia Dome for the SEC championship game, but we want you to come to the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl when I invited them, and all the Bulldogs, and I want all the Bulldogs to bring their cowbells. And Larry thought that was the greatest thing in the world, and they brought their cowbells, and they were loud in that Georgia Dome, which was such a great, great facility. And then LSU, around that same time, I go to LSU, and they take me over and say, come on, you got to come over by the visiting locker room. So I go over to the visiting locker room, and there's a cage, and there's a tiger in the cage. And as the visiting team came out, they'd poke the tiger, and the tiger would growl. I mean, and when you're standing next to a tiger and it growls, I mean, you feel it in your chest.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an awesome experience. But
Do you remember what
it was
year,
wild.
Do you remember what year that was, ish?
Gosh, I don't know. It had to be like 98, 99, somewhere in there.
They, the tiger does.
It was way back.
Yeah.
This is my
So they don't do that anymore.
Yeah, they don't do it. I've
That
been
sounds
to
like some
LSU
real
games
90s
since.
stuff.
So when I was in school, not to do it like a back in my day thing, I'm not that old, but.
Well, I'm old.
Well, hey, so Mike the Tiger doesn't go in the cage at all to take the lap around the
right,
field
right.
anymore. There's all kind of like animal rights stuff, whatever. Like they stopped, prodding him to make him growl. What they would do is the costumed mascot would elicit that growl. So when they'd park the cage right by the visitor locker room, the costumed Mike would walk up, and real Mike would then lunge and growl, and that's how they would get in everybody.
Maybe that's what they did then.
Well, no, but you're probably right because they did.
I know that was a loud growl,
yeah.
man. That was intimidating.
But now they don't make Mike get in the cage and take the lap, and that honestly,
Now Mike
Gary,
has a $4 million house.
Look, I'm gonna be very real. It kind of pisses me off that Mike gets a palatial life.
Yeah.
Curated diet, this
Steaks
beautiful habitat.
and-
He doesn't have to worry about anything. He's got dental care.
He had
All
the
I
best
ask-
NIL deal before there was
man.
NIL.
And your deliverable is just like 7 times a year. Hop in a cage and take a lap. That's it. That's it. And he's like, "Nah, I'm not gonna do that anymore." I'm like,
Sounds
"No,
like
you
he
shouldn't
has
have
as
to get
good
in
a
there."
job as a radio guy.
Hey, man, I work hard. I work lots of hours here, man. All I do is talk, but I do work lots of hours. Your gig's pretty good as well, man.
No, you're right.
Well, you know what? I know in an expanded playoff, we've had this conversation over the years, and there had to be some angst or anxiety about making sure your game was included in an expanded playoff because we didn't know if bowl games or to what degree bowl games would be included.
About it.
Can you walk us through kind of how all of those conversations would transpire, like how you would lobby for your game?
Well, the best lobbying that we had was the performance that we put year to year. What the team said about us, what the AD said about us, what the commissioner said about us. And I think at the end of the day, it's relationships, it's performance. And I think the history of the bowls really came into play. But, going back to when the BCS started, I remember saying to Roy Kramer, this is going to hurt the bowl system because all the media support and fan support is going to be attracted by the 4 BCS bowl games. And I was right. He jumped my ass at the SEC championship that year saying, hey, Gary, you're wrong. I worry, frankly, about the playoff, the 12-team playoff, doing the same thing for some of the other bowls, now. Now, we're blessed. We're a part of the playoff, at least for the next 2 years. We'll be part of the playoff, and hopefully for the next 6 years after that. But, yeah, it's one of the unintended consequences. It's one of the reasons why the bowl season was trying to get the first-round games into bowl games. And they failed, and so they're going to go on campuses. But they'll learn a lot. The presidents and commissioners will learn a lot the first 2 years. And then starting in 26, who knows what the playoff will look like.
Have you, is there a path for bowl games? This is I'm deviating here, but is there a path for you? But you sparked this in my brain. There's been conversation about ways that bowl games could incentivize players to make sure that they don't opt out, that they play. What's your thought on what bowl games might be able to do, if anything, to try to incentivize or make sure guys playing games?
Well, to me, it's one of the unintended consequences of the playoff, frankly, because in 2021 we experienced this. We had Pitt, Michigan State.
Yeah.
Pitt, Pickett was a first-round draft card, which means $15 to $20 million signing bonus and the potential of probably a $40 million contract. He had bad ribs, had bad ankle, and decided not to play in our game. Same thing, Kenneth Walker, Michigan State that year, first-round draft card, running back All-American, decided not to play in our game because he had a bad ankle since game 1. You have to be careful in that the playoffs, you've got kids that, everybody's hurt at the end of the year in football. Everybody's banged up. And now we're going to ask kids to play conference championship game, first-round game, quarterfinal, semifinal, championship game. And in some cases, these kids are going to get draft cards, number one, which is $15, $20 million signing bonus and $40 million contract. And it's going to have agents and parents in their ear saying, hey, this is generational money. What are you doing here?
Yeah.
What are we risking? Now, I can take the other argument and say they're playing for a national championship. You don't want to leave your family, so to speak, in the locker room. So it's going to be interesting to see. But to answer your question with all that background, I was asked by the media, well, why didn't you pay Pickett and Walker $50,000 to play in your game? And I laughed, and I said, $50,000 means nothing to these kids. And now when you look at NIL, you got some kids making $1.5 million, $50,000. We're not going to be able to afford $1.5 million. So, who knows what's going to happen in NIL with the playoff?
It's certainly the evolution of college football, and like the old adage, you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. It'll be interesting, if nothing else, as you pointed out, a year this year, 2 years this one, see how it continues to evolve. What we do know, of course, is that the Peach Bowl is going to be it's going to be a quarterfinal game this year. How do you think?
And a semifinal game next year.
In semis?
Yeah.
And, of course, the championship game is this year in Atlanta as well.
Right.
What? How does that impact your game, your preparation? Obviously, your selection of teams is going to be whatever the committee determines that you have there.
Right, yeah. We have nothing to say about the teams that play in our game. We're just like you. We sit there on December 6th, and we wait and see what Christmas presents we get to host. So now, with this year's playoff, we're still in 2 years left on the original contract.
Mm-hmm.
So because there are existing conference contracts, like the Big Ten with the Rose Bowl and the SEC with the Big 12 and the Sugar Bowl. The Sugar, the Rose, the Peach, and the Fiesta host the quarters. The Orange and the Cotton have the semis this year. Because the Big Ten champ has a relationship and a contract with the Rose Bowl, that Big Ten champ will play in the Rose Bowl. The SEC and Big 12 champ, whoever's the highest ranked, will play in the Sugar Bowl.
Got it.
And then the Fiesta and the Peach will get the other two teams. So that's how it'll work this year. Next year we get a semi, but that year the Orange, the Cotton, the Rose, and the Sugar will still have relationships. Orange with ACC, SEC and Big 12 with the Sugar, and the Big Ten with the Rose Bowl.
Got it. So that's how the the quarters would work out.
That's
however
right.
it would
For
play
the
with the
next 2
high
years.
seed. That makes sense. Gary Stoken is our guest here. The Peach Bowl CEO, of course. It's a new era of an expanded playoff. But one of the really cool things about what we've seen, especially now with the expanded playoff, is teams are going to play better games, like the Aflac kickoff game. I mean, this has become. I mean, y'all were the original back in 2008, right?
Right.
With the Clemson, Alabama.
That's right.
And it's sparked this whole culture with these kickoff classics to open the college football season. What's on tap coming up for the Aflac Kickoff Classic?
So this year,
game,
obviously, with two top 10 teams in USA Today's poll, number 1 and number 9, Georgia and Clemson, we've created a partnership with Aflac to have the Aflac Kickoff game become the kickoff for a cause. So last year we raised about $300,000 to be put toward trials to eradicate childhood cancer.
Awesome.
We have given $22 million to Aflac Cancer and Blood Disorder Center. We now have 14 trials in 5 different hospitals in 4 different states working on trying to find that cure for childhood cancer, to give a kid another day, another month, another year, another lifetime to live. And because September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, Aflac has donated $176 million to create the Aflac Cancer and Blood Disorder Center at Children's Hospital in Children's Healthcare in Atlanta. So together we're going to do a 50-50 raffle. That money's going to go toward the Aflac Cancer and Blood Disorder Center. We're going to sell T-shirts that were created by kids with cancer. Sell those, and all that money will go. Aflac has had Dabo Sweeney and Kirby Smart, through our relationships, go to visit kids with cancer in hospitals in Atlanta and Greenville, South Carolina. and they've donated $20,000 to those hospitals. So, we're going to continue. We also have a Peach Bowl Touchdown for Children's, where you can donate money to any school, LSU, Georgia, Clemson, North Carolina State, it doesn't matter. You donate $5, $10, $100, $1,000 per touchdown, and we will match that amount. Last year we gave $730,000 to our Peach Bowl Legacy Fund to fund different trials. So, we're the first bowl game founded for charity back in 1968, whereas all the other bowls are founded for economic impact.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we provide that as well.
Sure. But
we also were founded in our mission to give back. And we've given $63 million since 2002. It's $20 million more than any other bowl organization, and it makes us the most charitable bowl organization in the country.
That's a great cornerstone of what you do. And you also put on some pretty important and impactful football games as well. This year it's Clemson, Georgia. I know 2 games next year.
South Carolina, Virginia Tech, and Tennessee and Syracuse.
And Tennessee and Syracuse is going to be a lot of orange. It's going to be an awful lot of orange.
We like to have both teams wear their colors, but that year we won't do that.
That would be challenging. Although Syracuse has the
they
blue.
are different color oranges.
Syracuse has the home blues. They could wear.
They could
wear the home
that's
blues.
True.
Anyway, Gary Stoken, it's always our pleasure. Thanks for a couple of minutes as
Matt,
always.
always good to be with you, man. Thanks.
It is our.
Appreciate you. Have a great season.
Thank you. I hope so, man. We always hope so when we're here. All right, it's after further review. We'll knock out our final break here of hour number 2, wrap it up, and send you off to Sports Center. A busy 5 o'clock hour staring you straight in the face as well. Don't you move here. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouses.com, Rouses.com. Get on by and see our friends over at Rouse's. Maybe you're heading home from work today, going to pick up dinner for the entire family. Rouse's is a great place to do that because they got tons of grab-and-go options, already prepared meals. You don't feel like getting in the kitchen, making dinner tonight, no worries. You don't feel like having leftovers, don't do it. Go to Rouse's. Well, if everybody wants something different, Rouse's is easy as well. When you walk in, of course, the groceries to the right. You go in, all the food options are to the left. They've got grab-and-go sushi. They've got great like bowls as well. Like a chicken teriyaki bowl. I think those are awesome. They've got the hot bar if you want hot and boiled seafood. If you want a fried chicken plate. If you want to go to the go to the butcher, maybe get a steak to throw on the grill, a piece of fish. There's so many great options for dinner tonight over at Rouse's. So get on by and see our friends at any of the nearly 70 Rouse's locations from Lake Charles to Orange Beach, Alabama, and points in between. Rouse's. This feels like home.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Performing is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined we.
She's the only one who really understands what gets me. She thinks my
After further review powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Wrapping up hour number 2. Malachi Starks, just after the top of the hour, consensus All-American defensive back from the University of Georgia. Looking forward to letting you hear that conversation we had a bit ago. There is fantastic news on the LSU baseball front as LSU and Bear Jones have announced he will return to LSU for his junior season. With yesterday coming and going without Bear Jones hearing his name, that was obviously going to be a very likely result, unless if there was a team that rang him today and over-signed him. But Bear Jones returning is massive. So when you start to look at how the LSU lineup will shape up for 2025, again, Muse, by the way, I don't know if you can open your mic or just talk in my ear, either way. Where are they in the draft? Is it done yet?
Yeah, it's done.
Okay, so, and Blaze Priester I'm assuming, was not drafted today either?
Correct.
Okay, so that is amazing news for LSU. So, of course, Blaze Priester, the JUCO catcher, who is playing for Team USA right now, he'll be on campus. So Blaze Priester is your catcher. Barrett Jones is back at first base. You have Stephen Milam, very likely at second. Braswell at short. I would assume that, well, you'll have a competition at third base, but you got the transfer from Utah Valley. You've got Tanner Reeves coming in from JUCO as well. And then you've got other high school signees that could fit in. I mean, Michael Ryan could certainly vie for a spot depending on how they mix and match. And then point being, your infield looks dramatically different today than it did probably 2 weeks ago. And then if you look at the outfield where you've got Jake Brown, you've got Ashton Larson, Josh Pearson, Derek Curiel, you've got Chris Stanfield, the Auburn transfer. I mean, all of a sudden, this team paired with what looks like a very potent pitching staff looks formidable. And, Jay Johnson has got to be doing backflips right now. So Bear Jones will return to LSU. Hey, we're brought to you by Parish Restoration. Go to parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com. Hit the restoration tab. Told you for years. Kill mold, remove odor, patented non-toxic dry fog. Of course, Pure Restoration Mold Zero became Pure Restoration. They merged with my partners over at Parish, so now it's Parish Restoration. If you have mold, think you might. If you've got odor from sweat or smoke or cigarettes or pets or whatever it may be, they can knock out that odor with a simple dry fog process that is cost-effective and more efficient as well. They can knock out your home in a couple hours, half a day. It's Parish Restoration. Go to parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com, and hit the restoration tab for Parish Restoration. Okay, y'all, Radio Row, day 2. Got 1 hour to go, and I'm looking forward to this busy 5 o'clock hour. Ross Dellenger, our buddy from Yahoo, will be here at the bottom of next hour. When we come back, Malachi Starks, consensus All-American defensive back, starts hour number 3. And then I do want to circle back to what both Josh Heupel and what Carson Beck had to say today during their time at Radio Row. I guess we're going to go over on Missouri because they just didn't show up on Radio Row, which is so bizarre. But you know what? Good riddance. Hour number 3 is coming up on AFR.
AFR.
Excuse me, I had to clear my throat. AFR is brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge online, southpointvw.com, southpointvw.com. If you're thinking about buying a new vehicle, get on by South Point Volkswagen. Certified pre-owned, South Point Volkswagen. Maybe you're in Lafayette, Lake Charles, Southwest Volkswagen. But South Point Volkswagen, Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. They've always got great deals, great specials. By the way, if you're a college student, $500 off any vehicle, just if you're a college student. So if you're thinking about buying that first vehicle, make sure you get by and see our friends over at South Point Volkswagen. And if you're thinking of buying certified pre-owned, give my friend Kerry Manuel, the certified pre-owned manager over at South Point Volkswagen, a ring, because remember, they're Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. Because they sell more new cars than anyone, they have more trade-ins than anyone. So make sure you shop them. southpointvw.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, party plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
Rev Business is here to connect your company beyond your storefront. We're here to power your passion, improve your communication, and link you to your customers with the services you need and the local support you deserve. Backed by our commitment to 5-star reliability. For a limited time, get internet plus 2 hosted phone lines for only $133. A powerful combination at a great price. Visit letsrev.biz. Rev Business.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. There's a little extra buzz around tonight's MLB All-Star Game, and it's because of Paul Skeens, the 22-year-old Pirates megastar pitcher who has been brilliant in his first 11 big league starts. Getting the start tonight for the National League, Skeens is must-see, explains ESPN MLB analyst Tim Kirkjian.
He's 6'6", 250, has elite control, a great breaking ball, and throws 102 miles an hour. Plus, he's a born leader. We're going to be talking someday that this was the All-Star game in which everybody got to see Paul Skeens because he might run this show for the next 10 years.
Tim Kirkjian on Unsportsmanlike, ESPN radio coverage in 1 hour. NFL receiver Brandon Ayuk officially requested a trade from the 49ers amid his contract dispute. Teams that have reached out to the Niners have been told they have no intention of trading him. On the day Bears rookies reported to camp, the team signed top overall pick quarterback Caleb Williams and their other first-round pick receiver Roma Dunze to their rookie contracts. Inter Miami CF's Lionel Messi out at least the next 2 matches because of a right ankle injury.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, making it easy to save money. When you bundle your auto policy with home, condo, or renters, you'll earn a multi-policy discount. Easy to bundle, easy to save. Visit Progressive.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona. And here we go. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios. That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Matt Moscona Live, Radio Row, SEC Football Media Days, Day 2. Our coverage all week presented by Parrish Construction and Roofing, and also Rev Business and Relief Windows. I think Missouri just, said, deuces and peaced out. I don't think any Missouri players came to Radio Row.
No, they didn't. I think there was one Missouri player who came specifically for SEC Network, and
that was their part of their
drink walk by, but
because they didn't come to Radio Row, I don't have a tremendous amount to say about them. Hester just walked by here, and on his Sirius XM show, they get every player, every coach that.
Yes.
It's part of everybody's rotation when they go through every room in that 10-minute window or whatever it is. And he said Brady Cook was great and Luther Burden was great, and I'll take his word for it. I don't know that I can add anything because I didn't get to hear or speak to any of the Missouri players that were here today or Eli Drinkwitz. What I can look at is Missouri's schedule, and this is the reason why a lot of people look at Mizzou and think, okay, they could be a playoff team. Murray State, Buffalo, the Bulls, Boston College at home as well, Vandy at home. So the first 4 at home, then they have an open date. They go at A&M. Tough, but again, it's off a bye. At UMass, which why is an SEC team going to play in Amherst, Massachusetts? Respect the conference, all right? You don't go play a friggin' game at UMass. Anyway, they're home against Auburn. They're going to go to Bama, which I would think that's probably an L, but I'm not the biggest on Bama this year. We'll see. Open date. They get Oklahoma at home. Then they go at South Carolina, at Mississippi State, home against Arkansas. Tell me the spot on that schedule that's really awful, and where's the real grind of the schedule? I mean,
they have Oklahoma, you said, yeah?
Oklahoma after their open date, Oklahoma at South Carolina, at Mississippi State, then Arkansas. I mean, that, not just pandering ribs. I'm a big believer in back-to-back road conference games. So at State could be tricky, but, I mean, if you're wondering why people are looking at Missouri going, that could be a playoff team because
of their schedule.
They won 11 games last year. Their quarterback returns. And that schedule, if LSU had this schedule, I would go, okay, yeah, LSU's going to be minimum 10-2. They're going to make the playoff.
Right.
But, I mean, their road game at A&M coming off a bye. The home game against Oklahoma is coming off a bye. Their back-to-back road conference games are South Carolina, Mississippi State. 10-2 is doable for them. And if you're 10-2,
isn't that funny to think about?
Yes, but it's one of those things where we have to recalibrate how we think about
how we view
a season, a schedule, everything, because it's no longer you have to go 12-0, 11-1.
Right.
Can you win the East and go to Atlanta? And even if you get there, can you beat Bama or can you beat Georgia? Like, you're not thinking about that anymore. It's why we all have to, and we don't know for certain until we start to get a sample size that grows. But, yeah, I mean, look, Tennessee was here earlier today as well. And Tennessee is a team that is undeniably looking along these lines. And, you know, some of the part about Tennessee that was so interesting today was Josh Heupel, because Josh Heupel got peppered with going back to Oklahoma questions. Of course, he was the quarterback at Oklahoma when they won the national championship in 2000. He was the coordinator there who got fired. It was a little uneasy there whenever he was let go. But Heupel was asked about being his first trip back to Norman as an opposing coach.
First time that I will have been back. It'll be unique for myself to be on the other sideline. Obviously, there's been a lot of Saturdays where I was on the home sideline. But there's so many, great teammates, friends that will be there. Got great respect for the university, the program. A lot of friends that are coaching on the opposing sideline that day. Former teammates that will be coaching on that opposing sideline too. So it'll be unique to be back there, but excited to be there.
So Josh Heupel and Tennessee are another one of those teams. And I think as we look at, and this is probably just what I'm going to end up doing, I'm going to look at Bama, LSU, Ole Miss, Missouri, Tennessee. Those five, I think I did that alphabetically. I know Ole Miss is a no, but if I do Mississippi before Missouri, right? Yeah, MISSI, MISSO. Yeah, I did it right. Okay, I did it alphabetically. Don't laugh at me. All right, you can laugh at me. I'm a nerd. I'm a grammar nerd. We look at those five. I think we're just what I'm going to end up doing is looking at their schedules, strength of schedule, and who has head-to-head. Like we just went through Missouri, which is a very manageable schedule. Look at Tennessee. Chattanooga, they play NC State in Charlotte, Kent State at home, then they're at Oklahoma. That's the game Heupel was just talking about. They'll be 3-0. They'll go to OU. That's going to be a spot that is going to be a swing game for those two. Either one team takes a huge step forward toward their goals, the other team gets a pretty crushing blow, especially when you look at Tennessee, because after OU they have an open date. They're at Arkansas, home against Florida. If those were flipped, I might feel differently, but I like their chances there. And then they get Alabama. That is a home game, but it's a third of three consecutive SEC games. Second open date, then they go Kentucky at home, Mississippi State at home, at Georgia. I'd probably hang an L on them at Sanford Stadium. UTEP at Vandy. I mean, even if you lose to Bama and Georgia, if you can win in Norman, you're 10-2. If you take care of business everywhere else. Of course, there can be upsets, but I think Tennessee is another one that you look at and say, okay, I get why people are high on Tennessee. New quarterback, but people like Nico, and it's very manageable. The flip side of it is Oklahoma. Oklahoma got a brutal draw when you look at their schedule, especially relative to what Texas got. So Oklahoma goes Temple, Houston, Tulane, Tennessee. So they open with 4 straight home games. Then they go at Auburn, open date, Texas, neutral site, South Carolina, but listen how they finish. So they're manageable there. At Ole Miss, Maine, at Missouri, Bama, at LSU. I mean, that's a brutal 4-game league stretch to finish with 3 of those 4 league games on the road at Ole Miss, at Missouri, at LSU, and the home game is Bama. Like, that's for Oklahoma. That's why people are saying they could be a 7-5 football team, because if you lose to Texas, you drop 1 at Auburn, and then you look at Ole Miss, Missouri, Bama, LSU. What if you go 1-3 or 2-2 in that stretch? You're 7-5, 8-4. So they may not be a bad team, but it's going to be a brutal finish for them with that schedule that they'll have to navigate, and that's the massive difference for Oklahoma coming into the SEC. You're not going to have the stretch where you face Kansas State, Iowa State, Houston, UCF. Like, that just doesn't exist in this world anymore. And I think that's going to be the big punch in the face for Oklahoma. And that's going to come for Texas as well. They're not getting it the first 2 years because their schedule is a relative breeze the first 2 years. But it's going to come for them eventually. Hey, it's Tuesday, which means Supper Club is back open. Of course, they're open every Tuesday to Saturday. So if you're knocking off of work right now at 5-10 p.m. thinking, I don't really want to go home, man, just go to Supper Club. Right there on Perkins Road in Baton Rouge. Open seating at the bar. Scone, I don't have a jacket. You don't need one. Collared shirt, slacks, or nice jeans, that's the stated dress code. People are like, oh, they changed it. They didn't change it. That's always been the dress code. People just assumed you had to have a jacket. You don't. You want to throw on a jacket, by all means, go. Live it up. But Supper Club, you'll have the best meal of your life, whether you're bellying up to the bar, you're reserving the private room for a big gathering, you're celebrating a birthday, an anniversary, whatever that special occasion may be. Again, the 5 new menu items, I'm telling you, if you love veal, go get the veal Parmesan. It'll change your life. They have amazing steak options as well. I've told you about the Japanese omi beef. That's the stuff that they used to feed to samurai. Like, the farm's 400 years old. The Emperor of Japan, like, that's his preferred steak. And there's 3 restaurants in America that serve it. 2 of them are in Manhattan. 1 of them is Supper Club. Like, you can have that one-of-a-kind dining experience right there at Supper Club in Baton Rouge. Go check them out today or book your reservation at supperclubbtr.com. Supperclubbtr.com for Supper Club, great new partners of ours here on AFR. Speaking of Brent Venables, he talked about how excited he is for the challenge of coming into the SEC. Maybe the most interesting part. Let me say it this way. The riskiest decision that a team made in the SEC this year, in my opinion, is Oklahoma. I don't want to say moving on from Dylan Gabriel, but understand Dylan Gabriel is a guy that's the Heisman front runner right now at Oregon, and he was Oklahoma's quarterback last year that led them to a 10-win season. But they had Jackson Arnold, the 5-star, who sat with us an hour and a half ago. And they didn't want to risk losing the 5-star to the transfer portal. So effectively they told Dylan Gabriel, hey, this is going to be our guy next year. So he left and went to Oregon, and they're handing the reins over to Jackson Arnold. Here was Brent Venables on his sophomore quarterback.
Jackson understands better than anybody what goes into being a quarterback of a football team, of a locker room, the leader, the face, the responsibilities, the challenges. You know, what I feel best about and have the most peace about is his ability to be able to handle the highs and the lows, the challenges, the success, the failure that a season will bring you. Nobody is more competent or more ready. Now, even though he's a young player, and we've got to, in some ways, be the headlights for him. That's why they call us coach. But his skill, his arm talent, his toughness, his instincts, his ability to lead people, bring out the best in people, no question about it. He's ready for, his opportunity and his moment.
It's a big moment. Oklahoma coming into the SEC, their fan base has tremendous expectation. He's taking over a quarterback because every Oklahoma fan, every time they stub their toe, they're going to look at Eugene, Oregon, at what Dylan Gabriel's doing and saying, did we make the right decision? And only time will tell how that plays out. But if you're looking for one to circle and say you made a giant decision that is a pressure-packed decision where if it doesn't go your way, you are really going to own it, watch what happens with Jackson Arnold there under center at Oklahoma. Okay, it is after further review. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back. Very excited, man. Had a chance earlier today here on Radio Row as the Georgia Bulldogs made their way through to visit with Malachi Starks. Malachi Starks was a consensus All-American a year ago, cornerback for the Georgia Bulldogs. You'll hear that conversation as we continue on AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel, Watermark Downtown, the Renaissance Southtown. Congrats again to our friends at the Watermark Hotel, voted by you in the Best of 225 Awards as the best hotel in Baton Rouge. It's the Watermark Hotel, downtown Baton Rouge. And also, I love telling you about the Renaissance as well. 2 amazing hotel properties, Watermark Downtown, Renaissance Southtown on Bluebonnet. And one of the things they've done at the Renaissance as an opportunity to get you to go into the Renaissance, to experience Tallulah and all that they have to offer there, their exclusive spirit tastings that they've called Evenings at the Renaissance. Well, the next one is coming up on July the 26th. So mark the date, put it in your calendar. It's a collaboration with Noel Distillery. I've loved telling you about Noel. They're fantastic, a local distillery, and it'll be exclusive tasting with exclusive flavors from Noel there at Tallulah inside the Renaissance Hotel, 6 until 8:30 p.m. Make plans to be there at the Renaissance Hotel.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, party plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Day 2, Radio Row, SEC Football Media Days. Our coverage presented by Parish Construction and Roofing, also Rev Business and Relief Windows. A guy who in college football circles needs no introduction, the consensus All-American a year ago. It is Georgia defensive back Malachi Starks. Man, it's a pleasure. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. How you're finishing up your day. How did it go?
It was a lot different than I thought it would be, man. I've had a great time. I've met some people. I've got to meet. Man, I met Todd Gurley today.
Yeah.
He's the reason why I started watching Georgia football in the first place. So just it's been special for sure.
Todd Gurley was doing a deal like with Bush's Baked Beans. Like, did you get a photo op with him or anything?
No, I got to take a picture with him too, man. It was crazy.
Who's like? It's interesting being a guy from Georgia, and you mentioned Gurley is the guy that you started watching. Like, do you get starstruck around athletes? Like, is there anybody that you look up to that, like, when they pass by, you're like, oh man, that's
Todd Gurley?
Really? Like, yeah. Who else would be on the list?
Let's see.
What's your favorite sport?
Basketball.
Okay, so to watch would be basketball. Who's your guy?
If Michael Jordan walked in here, I'd probably.
So you're a Jordan over LeBron guy?
Hands down.
Okay, why?
I feel like, and a lot of people argue with me when I say that, but I feel like Jordan changed the game. And I know I wasn't there to watch it. I wasn't like alive or whatever you want to say, but I feel like the impact that he had on the game and the way he changed things, just it won't be done again.
See, a lot of it's generational, right? So
Yeah.
younger guys would lean LeBron. So I came up watching Jordan.
Right.
That's so interesting to hear you say that, though, man.
Yeah.
Where do you fall on Kobe?
I love Kobe. My dad's a Kobe guy.
Yeah.
My dad's a Kobe guy, and I think he's on a level of his own too. I think
The thing
it's
about
crazy.
The thing about Kobe is Jordan was too, but Kobe was a killer.
Yeah.
Like I don't know that LeBron's got that. I didn't think we would go this route, but I'm fascinated that you said that, man. That's like I thought we'd just sit here and talk about DB play, flipping your hips and all that stuff. But this is way more interesting.
Right.
You've probably been doing that all day, huh?
Yes, sir.
What did you like? What did people like? You're at the end of your day, so you've done a million interviews already. So thanks for sitting with us. But what do you get peppered with at something like this? What's the thing everybody asks you?
A lot of people ask me about the addition with Texas and Oklahoma coming into SEC today.
Yeah.
And that's been a heavy question today.
What do you? I mean, you guys get Texas this year. I mean, are you interested, excited to play them? Does it matter?
No, I'm really excited. I really am. I think it's a great opportunity to go down there. I think we're all just focused on what we have now, and the first game, which is Clemson, just trying to focus on that, and then take it day by day, game by game, right after that.
Man, so you've been a fan and now playing at Georgia in what is the golden era of Georgia football. It's not even debatable. Like this is the greatest era of that.
Right.
We agree on
Yeah,
that, right?
doubt.
That's what it is. Like, I mean, is it? You'll obviously expect to win every game you play, and I think y'all are going to be favored to win every game you play. Does it ever get? I don't want to say boring, but does it ever get routine?
Not really.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. But no, I think it can start to get that way. And then you just kind of kick back into reality. And I think since I've been here, I've only lost one game, which is kind of crazy to say. But until that game, I was like, oh, we're gonna win every game. I just thought that was like the thing. And then that happened, and it kind of just kicks into reality. So like it starts to get there, but then you kind of realize that like anything can happen. You know, any team can be beaten any day.
When was the last time you were nervous before a game?
Oregon.
Why?
My first college football game ever. I didn't know what to expect. I knew I put in the time to be ready, but I just wasn't sure.
Y'all did a number on Oregon. Did Oregon even get a first down in the like till the fourth quarter? I mean, they look at you laughing. Like, but see, that's my point though. Like when you get to this point where it's so dominant, it's almost like it's comical. Like, I mean, do you and your teammates ever feel challenged?
Yeah. And I think we do. I think we do a great job with challenging each other also. With not getting complacent and wanting to get better every day.
Malachi Starks is with us here, Radio Row, SEC Football Media Days. Do you have pregame rituals?
I wouldn't call it rituals. I just talk to my mom, my dad, and my girlfriend every time, and I pray before I walk out on the field. But that's about it, though.
What's on the headphones when you're warming up?
Rod Wave.
Okay.
Yeah. I like Rod Wave, and then I'll listen to a little old school R&B, and then I might hit a young boy every now and then. But other than that, I like to get my mind chill before the game.
Who's the weirdest guy on the team? And you can define weird however you want. It could be lovingly.
I think. I don't know. I think in the best way possible, like. The best weird you could get, I'm gonna go with Chaz Chandler.
Okay, why?
He's just like, I don't know. Chaz is just like that guy. Like you don't want to mess with Chaz. Like Chaz knows karate, jiu-jitsu, like boxing. Like Chaz, like he's just that guy. Like I love Chaz. I love Chaz to death.
Do you love MMA?
I don't watch it, but I like it.
Okay. All right, I was gonna go because I mean clearly Chaz sounds like that ain't the guy you want to mess with.
No, without a doubt.
Goes that way.
If I get in the fight, I'm picking Chaz to be with me.
What this is a huge year for you, man. I mean, you're coming off a consensus All-America season. I mean, it's like everybody is expecting great things from you, and then of course the NFL's next year. Like, when you're preparing for a season like this, do you think just about like avenging the Bama loss, getting to a playoff, or do you start thinking about scouts in the NFL and what's next for you?
Neither really. I just try to stay where my feet are at right now. And I feel like if I take care of what I need to take care of right now, the rest will fall where it may. I don't have any control over that. I just want to do what I can do for me and my team right now, and the rest will take care of itself.
Where your feet are is in those sweet Louis Vuitton red bottoms.
Yes, sir.
You want to show the camera what you got? Like, can you take it off, or is it going to mess you up because they're laced?
No, I can take it off.
All right, because I want to. Oh, you got socks or no?
No,
socks?
I don't got no socks.
So you need to go.
They look better without no socks. I just couldn't find
none. Look at them; they're really good.
Yeah,
so there's a brand
babies.
called Dead Socks. You check them out. You should do an NIL with them. They have really killer no-shows
Okay.
that they don't move, and they'd be perfect in those.
Okay,
too.
perfect.
These are them, but those are
I like that. You got some nice shoes on too, man.
Thanks, man. Those
Yeah,
are those
I
are
need to
Jordan
get some of
ones.
those.
That's a good color, man. I like that little summery vibe, a
Yeah.
little teal on the Jordan ones.
Right.
You know what I mean? What's give me the fit check here, okay? So what are you wearing? How did you pick out
Right.
what you got?
So I
today?
got all this from Men's Warehouse.
Look at you, man.
Yeah, man. I got the navy blue suit with a light blue, and I got an Apple Watch that I got for my girlfriend. I actually went to this church event. I spoke at this church event on Sunday.
Love it.
And this little kid walked up and gave me this bracelet, so I'm wearing it.
That's awesome, man.
My girlfriend gave me this. I got my chain.
Is that like a telephone wire?
It's like a
bracelet?
It's like Teleton. They call it Teleton.
Yeah, that looks like old school telephone.
Yeah.
You don't know what a telephone
No,
wire is.
I know what it is. I know what it is. And then I got my chain on, and then pink is my favorite color, so you can never go wrong with a pink bow tie.
Look at the pink bow tie, man.
Yeah.
It's a very, very good accent piece. Guy's got style, got a great personality. He's a great player as well as Malachi Starks. He's a consensus All-American defensive back from Georgia. Good luck this year, unless if you play LSU.
Yes, sir.
Enjoyed that conversation with Malachi Starks. It's after further review. We're here on Radio Road SEC Football Media Days. Our Tuesday show is always powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Good opportunity to remind you about Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, LMFJ.com, LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. At Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, gents, if you're thinking of popping the question, Lee Michaels for more than 30 years now has helped Louisianians get engaged. Of course, 2 locations in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport, 9 locations, and always online at lmfj.com. Maybe it's an anniversary, a birthday gift you're looking for. Of course, a beautiful, shining diamond ring that is going to thrill her every time you get it at Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. All right, it's after further review. Ross Dellenger set to join us when we continue. Excited to have Delly jump aboard. Of course, from Yahoo. Ross has done an amazing job this summer, in the spring and summer, covering all of the business of sports topics as we've just rolled through this really landscape-changing time around college football. So excited that, and maybe we'll even get a few football questions in with Delly as we continue. It's day 2 from Radio Row at SEC Football Media Days. Ross Dellenger joins us next on AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Clegg's Nursery. Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. You know where they are. Siega near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Tell you every day to buy local and shop local. Go see our friends over at Clegg's Nursery. Tell you the summertime is a time where a lot of us are outdoors in our outside spaces. And, man, whether you want to accent that outdoor space with some beautiful flowers in your patio pots, your flower beds, maybe it's different accent pieces like bird feeders, hummingbird feeders. They've got all tuned wind chimes. Anything to accentuate your experience when you're enjoying your outdoor space. Clegg's Nursery can help you do it. And they got a friendly staff, and they got a great selection. Any of the 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area, make sure you get on by and see them. They've also, of course, got mulch. They've got bag and bulk. And Ross Dellenger will join us next on AFR.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, party plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
performing is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
The best.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Ross Dellenger joins us here, Radio Row, SEC Football Media Days, as we're winding down day 2. How are you, man?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing really well. Just paying you a compliment. I think you've done really, really, really good work this spring. Well, always, but this spring and summer on the business of sports stuff. I'm being serious. That wasn't a joke.
Is it opposite day? You're saying the opposite, like Costanza.
No,
You're saying the
I
opposite
like
of
to
what?
mess with you when you're doing interviews to try to throw you off your
like
spot.
earlier when you took a picture of me while I was doing
Yes, you were on
interviews.
Texags, and I kind of like stealthily came in and just
I saw you.
and I got you off your spot, and I like to do that because
did.
I did. I like to do that because I like to mess with you because we're friends and that's what we do. But professionally, I always tell you do a very good job. I mean, it's why you went from the Advocate to all the places you've been. But so you told me you're working on the private equity story. Can you give us the 15-second sort of elevator pitch version of what's happening with private equity, and then we can go deeper?
Sure. Because of the cash that schools are needing for the revenue sharing, which is on the way, they are trying to find new revenue streams, which obviously includes logos on the field, as you've probably seen, naming rights stuff, and private equity, which would deliver an infusion of immediate cash to conferences and in schools. So that's kind of the gist in the private equity firms, seeing that college athletics maybe, as they say, is undervalued a little bit, are swooping in.
How does so to not bury the lead, schools are now going to be allowed to share in their revenue with the student athletes 20%?
No,
it's
it's
22%
of revenue of the average Power 5 schools revenue,
which is going to come out to about $20 million thereabouts.
Low 20 millions.
Low 20 this year. So effectively, everybody is going to have to find $20 million in their budget. So if you don't have that, what you're saying is some will go to private equity. How does private equity make their money back?
Well, that's the question. Why, and that's the part that leaves, I think, school presidents and some athletic directors, and certainly some commissioners like Greg Sankey, wary of it, because at some point, private equity wants to make their money back. And I should say, there's a difference between private equity and private capital. A lot of this on a school level is private capital. They're not buying a piece, right? They're just basically giving a loan to you for and you have to pay it back over a 15-year period. And basically the way it breaks down is every, like say you sign this 15-year, one of the models I've seen is for it's a school basis. So this is not conference. This is for an individual school. Would be the private capital firm would give a school an immediate infusion of $100 million, right, immediately to use. And that $100 million would be paid back over basically you get 15 years to do it, and the private capital, the firm, would take a certain portion of your new revenue each year, would take a percentage and keep it every year, keep it until they get what they put in originally, right? Maybe 8 years, maybe 10 years, maybe 12 years down the road. And then they still get a smaller percentage of new revenues for the continuation of the agreement.
So all of that makes sense. The problem is, let's say you get $100 million and you got to spend 20. Well, that covers you for 5 years. Well, then the $20 million doesn't go away. If anything, it escalates as revenue escalates.
It will escalate.
So, yeah. I mean, Ross, to me, the very obvious answer, it's like if you're living a lifestyle you can't afford, so you keep buying with debt, the answer is stop spending.
Yeah.
And but the have-nots in college football are trying to keep pace.
Correct. Right.
And they will eventually bury themselves.
Yeah. You kill yourself, right? You kill yourself trying to claw up. It's what the Group of Five has been doing for years, honestly. And they come out and say it now, right? Like, we're killing ourselves here trying to compete with the upper echelon. And the lower level, the Power Four, are now going to be doing the same thing, right?
Yes.
They're going to be trying to – the Mississippi States are going to be trying to claw up to get to the LSU Alabama level, right, with this revenue sharing. The benefits of doing the private capital is to use that immediate money and keep pace for the first 2, 3, 4 years of the revenue sharing model, and then believe that in year 5 you'll have – your revenues will have grown enough that you don't need that money anymore. And also you have a new TV agreement potentially kicking in within the next couple years there that can help you as well. So it's kind of like a little, right, it's to keep pace early in this model, I think.
Do you think we get to a point where ultimately, and when I talk about the have-nots, you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Group of Five that are not playing the same sport as the haves, that they just ultimately sever and do their own thing?
Probably, yeah. I think that's what it's starting to look like. And when you talk to some ADs and some coaches, they've been public about it, actually. I wrote a story back in either February or March, I think it was on your show, talked about it, is some of the coaches are now saying, we need to just go have our own playoff and do our own thing, because the separation, the gap is beginning to get too wide. And now you introduce revenue. Every little change has widened the gap, and now you introduce revenue sharing, and it's going to widen the gap even more. These Group of Five programs are not going to be able to share $20 to $25 million with their athletes, right? They don't have $20 to $25 million, right? That's 1/3 of some of their budgets. It's half of some of their budgets. So they don't have that to share. Now, could they share 3 or 4 million? Sure, maybe at some point, but they don't have that. And so if you don't pay up to that point, you're not going to recruit as well, right? You're not going to field as good of a team. And oh, by the way, realignment has weakened the Group of Five. All the highest resource Group of Five programs are now in the Power Four.
And I'm curious if when a super league, a one college football, as I've kind of referred to it, structured however it might, do some of those teams stay in that super league? I don't know that we have a 64-team Super League. I don't know that they have the resources to afford to do that. Like a Houston, a Central Florida, right. a BYU, something like that. Yeah,
that's and then, the other part of this is the Super League and the Super League proposals that are out there. There's a couple of them. A lot of them are backed right by private equity, so they're involved in all of the Super League talk as well. And, a lot of things the commissioner said to me today was that all of these proposals, all these things, these concepts, these ideas that are in these these Super League private equity proposals can be done right now in the conference with decisions by conference administrators. You know, they can do these things. Unequal distribution, revenue distribution, which is probably coming at some point. Different scheduling, adding a 9th SEC game. These things can be done, some of this stuff, because the Super League is built around bigger matchups more often, right? A consolidation of brands, an unequal distribution for the elite teams based potentially on success. Well, you could do all those things in a league, and I think it's probably coming.
Ross Dellenger is with us, brought to you by First South Farm Credit, firstsouthland.com, firstsouthland.com. You're thinking of buying land, your first call should be to our friends at First South Farm Credit. They've helped Louisianians buy land since 1916, more than 100 years. So if it's that recreational property, if it's 20 acres in Zachary to build that dream home, the farmers know about First South Farm Credit, have for more than 100 years, but so much more. It's this simple. If you're thinking of buying land, First South Farm Credit should be your first call. Go to firstsouthland.com, firstsouthland.com. That's firstsouthland.com. One more follow-up there. Do we know yet or have an idea yet how Title IX factors into a revenue share?
We do not. There's not a whole lot of clarity on that, and I don't know that we're going to ever get real clarity on it, which means it's up to every school to decide how they're going to handle it. And in all likelihood, a school will be sued, and it will be decided in court. But, you know, you hear things thrown around about a 50-50 split with revenue share of women and men athletes. Like, in the SEC, that will not happen, right? It will not happen. It'll be more like a 70-30 or 80-20. And I think they plan on using the back pay, the $2.77 billion that are going to be back paid to athletes. They plan on using that model going forward, which, according to the plaintiffs' attorneys, the way they're going to distribute the $2.77 billion in back pay is 90% to men's basketball and football players at the power conference level. So I think a lot of people in this league believe that that's a reflection of how they will distribute money going forward. But if you split it 50-50, Matt, or maybe even 60-40, you're going to get a lawsuit from football players and men's basketball players saying we are not getting enough of the revenue that we generate.
And I'm curious about the legalities of how you do that. I mean, if Title IX calls for a 50-50 split, how do you not split 50-50?
Well, there's some I don't want to say, it's probably wrong to say ways around it, but the way that it's being handled is these contracts and the revenue sharing with athletes are through name, image, and likeness deals. They're basically, you're buying their value, their name, image, and likeness. And so you look at market value for a football player compared to a softball player or something like that. And that's how you can get the difference there. It's just like that's how they're doing in the back pay. They're doing it based on market value, and they have a formula. They're using a formula for that. So that's certainly one way. That still will not save you, right? Like that won't prevent you from getting sued. Somebody's going to get sued.
Yeah. Ross Dellenger, he's on Twitter at Ross Dellenger. Last thing for you. Would you rather talk football, like real football, or all this stuff?
Well, all this stuff because it's I don't know where the players are anymore. I don't know where they're playing. I gotta catch up. I gotta catch up on my Phil Steele. I'm gonna spend the next 3, 4, 5 weeks catching up on Phil Steele and where all the players are and all that. So once I get there, during the season would be a better time to ask me about real football.
I think Alabama's going to go 9-3. Do you agree?
Oh wow. Okay.
Do you agree or no?
I don't know. I need to study.
Okay.
I need to study up.
Get in your Phil Steele.
Yeah.
Get in your Phil
I
Steele.
just ordered it. It's going to be arriving at my house in the next couple of days. So.
Good. Your house in D.C.
Yeah.
You like living in D.C.?
Love D.C. Just bought a condo.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
Look at you getting all grown up and everything.
At the end of the month. Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay. So. Can I come visit?
No.
Well, who's being rude now?
Yeah, there are plenty of hotels in D.C. you can stay at. Yeah, you can come visit, but you can't stay with us, no.
I don't want to stay with you. Why would I stay with you in your little stupid condo? I don't want to stay there anyway. Ross Dellenger. I guess you can follow him on Twitter or X or whatever. All right, thank you, Delly. We appreciate you for coming by. See ya. All right, it's after further review. I do find that really fascinating. I mean, it's just such a transformative time in college football and all of college athletics, man. Athletic departments are having calls with private equity firms to be able to fund their payments to their athletes. It's like, but like, do you realize this? Yes, this is a mess. I'm absolutely conceding. This is a mess, but it is a mess that has been created by the greedy adults who spent certainly the last 40 years, let's call us 25 years, dramatically ramping up revenues around mainly college football and men's college basketball and just getting fatter and greedier and richer and not giving anybody any piece of anything. And this is where you are. This is where you are. What do you
I don't know. Ross started talking, and I think I blacked out. My eyes started twitching.
You didn't follow any of that?
I mean, I followed some of it. It's just so much. It's all so much.
I think Ross needs a nap, too.
I mean, yeah, I think we all do.
Yeah, I know.
But secondly, my favorite.
It's only day 2.
I know. It feels like we've been here for 8 days. My favorite thing that just happened, though, was Ross gave you a very Harold Perkins answer. Like yesterday, I guess somebody asked him a question about, I don't know if they were asking about the Oklahoma coach or players or whatever, and he just hit him with a, quite frankly and honestly, I don't know.
I don't know who that is. Yeah.
I don't know. And Ross did the same thing. You're like, you want to talk about football? And he's like, no, I don't know.
I don't really want to. Talking about football is overrated. We've been doing that all year. The best answers are always the ones that have nothing to do with football. Okay, let me knock out our final break of the show. We'll come back and wrap up a busy Tuesday edition of AFR from Radio Row at SEC Football Media Days.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Action Industries, Action, INC.com. Action Industries Incorporated, of course, since 1982. That's 42 years, man. I know you don't need a history lesson, but the reality is sometimes companies have been around for a long time doing great work, and you may not be aware of them. And Action Industries is one of those that has been servicing the petrochemical refinery markets for 42 years, man. And what's so impressive is they've continued to grow. They've continued to grow at a measured pace, doing what they do well. There are massive companies, these mega contractors that do these $200 million jobs. Like, that's not Action Industries. They're never going to bid on that job. But if you have that 100-person job, it's their sweet spot. You will get their absolute undivided attention and their very best people. It's Action Industries. They're a proud partner of LSU Athletics. Check them out online at actionindinc.com or check them out in Geismar or Belrose. That's Action Industries.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Rev Business is here to connect your company beyond your storefront. We're here to power your passion, improve your communication, and link you to your customers with the services you need and the local support you deserve. Backed by our commitment to 5-star reliability. For a limited time, get internet plus 2 hosted phone lines for only $133. A powerful combination at a great price. Visit letsrev.biz. Rev Business.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Down the stretch we come, final segment here on a Tuesday edition of AFR. We always appreciate our friends at Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana, sunnyquip.com, sunnyquip.com. Our friends over at Sunshine, great partners of ours. We're thrilled to be here with them. If you need that tractor, the zero-turn mower, check them out at sunnyquip.com. Bunky and below, you want a John Deere, you're going to Sunshine. Carson Beck, the Georgia quarterback, made some headlines today whenever he was asked about the new changes in college football where iPads are being allowed on the sideline now. And apparently Carson Beck was unaware that such a rule change had been instituted.
I actually didn't know that, so that's my first time hearing that. I'm actually super excited about that. That's super cool. I think going back and watching film this past year, I almost wish that we did have iPads on the sideline because there's so many different situations that happen throughout a game, but when situations repeat, a lot of defensive coordinators end up going back to what worked before and they'll repeat calls. So, being able to see those things and maybe even having like a little, I guess you have like one step, or it feels like you might have one step on a defensive coordinator. If you see the look before, if something doesn't go right, they might go back to it, which happened a lot in our games this past year. So I think that'll be super cool to add that and be able to see that.
I very much respect that he had an answer, that he was able to formulate an answer after that. It's also equally stunning that the quarterback at Georgia, who is one of the Heisman Trophy frontrunners and a projected first-round pick, if not the number 1 overall pick in this upcoming draft, was unaware of such a massively significant rule change. I'll tell you, on top of the iPads, the thing that I think is actually the more significant is the helmet communication. And having the helmet comm for quarterbacks that will run all the way until, I believe it's 12 seconds remaining on the play clock. You will have the offensive coordinator in the quarterback's helmet talking to him as they break the huddle, they're at the line, what coverages are they seeing. I think how teams and offenses approach it's a massive advantage, and then how the defenses may counter if they wait until they actually show their hand what they're doing until that helmet comm cuts off. But very surprising that Carson Beck was unaware of that. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. Man, it's been a great show. Thanks so much to all of our guests who are here with us today. Dari Nowa, Jackson Arnold, the Oklahoma quarterback, Billy Embody, Greg Sankey, Keenan Pili, the Tennessee linebacker, Gary Stoken, Malachi Starks, Ross Dellenger. If you missed anything, remember AFR On Demand, presented by Breck Golf. Book your tee time at golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org. Really just a fantastic day here at SEC Football Media Days, and we just they're long days, but it's fun to sort of just be able to binge on all this football content. And tomorrow, just to set the stage, Alabama and Texas are absolutely the headliners. And on a day where Billy Napier, who's on the hottest of hot seats, and Mississippi State, who's bringing a new coach, are in the lineup as well, to overshadow those two storylines is significant. Obviously, Kalen DeBoer's first year at SEC Media Days, and Texas, their first time here at SEC Football Media Days as well tomorrow. So Texas with all the expectations. Kalen DeBoer taking over for Nick Saban. Billy Napier very much on the hot seat with that schedule. And Jeff Lebby in his first year at Mississippi State with Blake Shapen, a transfer quarterback, coming in. Storylines abound. I think actually tomorrow, Wednesday, in my opinion, is the biggest, most exciting day on the schedule for this year of SEC Football Media Days. We're looking forward to bringing it all to you right here. Brought to you by our friends over at Parrish Construction and Roofing. ParrishBuilt.com, ParrishBuilt.com. Of course, Rev Business and Relief Windows. Muse, Paulie, thanks. Rivers, Huey on site. Y'all have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
As we get on down the road, remind you about the Williamson Eye Center. Call 924-2020. If you want to see 2020, call 924-2020. What are you waiting on? I've been able to tell you for years now. Actually, many of you have already done this. But if you are still waiting, if you're putting off LASIK, if you're putting off that consultation, if you've heard me talk to you about this for years, and you've always thought, I've heard people say LASIK's the best money I ever spent, best decision I ever made, should have done it years before. Yes, all of that is true. It'll be the best decision you make, the best money you spend, and you should have done it years before, because I am that person. For years and years and years, I kept shoving contact lens into my eyes, worrying about getting water splashed in my face in a pool or traveling without a pair of contact lens that might rip. I mean, it's a terrible way to live. It's a very inconvenient way to live. You know what's awesome? Waking up in the morning, opening your eyes, and being able to see. I have that gift every day thanks to Dr. Blake Williamson. You can as well. 924-2020 or williamsoneye.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150. $10,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
Hey, it's Matt